Thank you, Chairman Singletary. Board members, tonight we have Victoria Biza Ravon and Paisley Singletary, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Just a reminder to the board, make sure you guys are mashing your button tonight so we can hear you throughout the audience and social media as well. I apologize for not doing that early on. I'd like to get a motion on the floor for the approval of the night's consent agenda.
So moved.
I got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carries. Dr. Atkinson, action item 6, spotlights and recognition.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. First tonight, we have Mr. David Dixon and Ms. Iris Lyons, who will be presenting the VFW Scholarship Awards. And so I'd like to turn it over to them at this time.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Master Sergeant Retired David Dixon. I'm the commander of the Elizabethtown Post of the Veterans of Foreign Wars of the United States. Every year, the VFW does a scholarship kind of a drive where we appeal to the middle schoolers and the high schoolers, giving them an opportunity to compete for pretty large cash prizes at the national level. Locally, we do a $100 cashier's check to the winner at our post, and then that winner will be forwarded on to district, which is about a 5-county area. They win that, that's a $1,000 additional check, and then they go on to the state of North Carolina, and I believe the state of North Carolina is a $6,000 check for them. If they win the state of North Carolina, they go on to national, the United States. If they win that, it's like a $36,000 scholarship they can win. Program encourages young school people to communicate their ideas on a specific topic. The topic for this year was what I'm doing to be a patriotic American, or something along those lines. I'm not sure that both of our winners are here, but our high school winner is here. Let me introduce Mr. Jackson Bridgers, who was selected out of about 1,000 people who apply in the state. There are 138 VFW posts, and Jackson beat everybody out with his application. So we'd like to present you with this certificate commemorating that, and your $100. Our quartermaster isn't here with the cashier's checks yet, but she'll be. Okay. Now, let me, real quick, is Miss Elia Turner here? Does anybody know? She might not have came today.
During the fall 2025 semester, East and West Bladen Foods 2 students completed the National Restaurant Association Serve Safe Food Manager credential. Representing her classmates is Ms. Vera Ballentiner, and Ms. Debbie Kinlaw is the West Bladen instructor. We're very glad to have Vera with us tonight, as well as Ms. Kinlaw. Her classmates had lots of obligations, so Ms. Vera will be representing the whole class tonight.
So on behalf of West Bladen High School, the North Carolina Coaches Association Awards, we're going to recognize Jonah Bryan for All Region.
Good evening. On behalf of East Bladen High School, North Carolina Soccer Coaches Association Awards, Jace Hatcher, All Region. Ishak Algozi, All State. Davion Lewis, All State. The Regional Coach of the Year, Jay Rayner. And the Regional Assistant Coach of the Year, Eric Sandoval. On behalf of East Bladen High School, we are proud to present tonight the JV football team, who was the Carolina Conference co-champions. Ryan Priest. Ethan Burden. Damian Maynor. Prince McCoy. Omar Powell. Joel Lewis. Avery McKinley. Darnell Rouse. Anthony Jones. Prince Powell. Marley Whitaker Vaughn. Chase Moultrie. Chandler Wall. Caden Morton. Deontay Travis. Isaiah Baldwin. Quasi Holloway. Mason Sanford. Kanye Smith. Elijah Smith. Mason Durden. Tyrone Freeman. Jamel Carter. Head coach, Mr. Teffrey McCoy. Assistant coach, Corey Corbett. Assistant coach, Alex Barber. The Carolina Conference co-champions, East Bladen High School.
All right, guys, we're gonna need to make at least 2 rows. Y'all are all pretty tall, so we'll probably have to, squat a little bit to get in there. So if everybody could just come down this way a little bit.
Coach, get in there. The varsity head coach is Robbie Priest.
So if you're in the front row, find a pocket. So make sure that your head is in between the heads of 2 people behind you. And we'll see everybody. Try to get back here. I might need to do it. Going up, going up. So John Gregson, I need everybody just to squeeze. All right, ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3.
At this time, we'll be recognizing our students and employees of the month. Calling those names will be Ms. Priscilla Brayboy.
Good evening, everyone. Each month, Bladen County Schools recognizes students and employees who exemplify what it means to be learners and leaders in our district. Our students of the month demonstrate kindness, responsibility, academic effort, and a commitment to growth, modeling leader and me habits that make their schools better places to learn. Our employees of the month show outstanding professionalism, teamwork, and care, leading with heart, whether in the classroom, on a bus, in the cafeteria, or behind the scenes. Tonight, we celebrate our December honorees for the positive impact they make every day. Congratulations to each and every one. First of all, we'll have Bladen Lakes Primary School. Our students of the month, Liam Hernandez, Esmerella Barrios, Marjo Callahan, and Miss Diane Owens. Next, we have Bladenboro Primary. Our students of the month, Gabriel Stevens and Valeria Sandoval. Our employees of the month, Kelly Durden, Ravonda Rouse. East Arcadia School. Students of the month, Emily Cruz, Jabril Ward. I'm sorry, Jabari Ward. Our employees of the month, Angela Dallas and Renathia Gibbs. Elizabethtown Primary School. Landon Orlana, Giselle Hines. Our employees of the month, Christine Harriger, Gayla Collins. For Tar Heel School, our students of the month, Adriana Lopez, Perez, and Juan Martinez Solano. Our employees of the month, Stephanie Nance, and Miss Antonio Owens. Clarkton School of Discovery, our students of the month, Nora Bridgers, Joshua Williams, our employees of the month, Elizabeth Priest and Brenda Williams. Elizabethtown Middle School, Carlos Ruiz Dominguez, Brooke Olson. Our employees of the month, Melissa Freeman, Katrina Wright. Bladen Early College, our students of the month, Jose Turan, Savannah Wooten, and the employee of the month is Lanice Stewart. East Bladen High School. Our students of the month, Xavier Potts. Michaela Henry. Our employees of the month, Dahl Priest and Deborah Highsmith. West Bladen High School. Our students of the month, Carolina Martinez, Matthew Parker. Our employees of the month, Alistair Nadeau, and Ms. Phyllis Powers. So you notice that I did not call Dublin Primary tonight. They're not here. They have their Christmas concert on tonight. So I still will do those. Students of the month was Myra Bernhardt and Jordan Lee. The employees were Gabrielle Corbett, Angel Thompson. Bladenboro Middle School, students of the month, Alana Simmons and Michael Edwards. The employees of the month, Haley Baxley. Ms. Baxley also received the Bright Ideas Grant in the amount of $1,890, and also Carrie Ann Bartley. Thank you.
Chairman Singletary, now give us 1 minute. We got a technology problem.
At this time, we'll move to board organization. Dr. Atkinson, 7.1.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. At this time, we will be holding the annual election for board chair. At this time, I'd like to declare the floor is open for nominations for board chair.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Gary Roder.
It's got Mr. Rhoda and Mr. Singletary. Any other nominations? Do we have a motion that nominations cease? Have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor of nominations ceasing, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Thank you. At this time, Ms. Brown's going to be bringing you a ballot in accordance with policy. You will need to write on the top line, it says vote selection for board chair. So you'll write the name of either Mr. Rhoda or Mr. Singletary on the top line for your choice. You'll also need to sign and date your ballot as well. These will need to be retained until the minutes have been completed. Once you have voted, I will come around and get those if you'll fold that in half. I am required to announce each individual vote and then do the tally. So if we'll put your, again, selection for chair on the top line, if you'll sign and date that, please. And if you'll fold that for me, we'll collect those. Should have a total of 8 ballots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we have 8 total ballots. This time I will call out the votes. Mr. Dennis Edwards casting a vote from Mr. Singletary. Mr. Davis casting a vote for Mr. Rhoda. Mr. Benton casting a vote for Mr. Singletary. Mr. Rhoda casting a vote for himself. Mr. Singletary casting a vote for himself. Mr. Thomas casting a vote for Mr. Rhoda. Mr. Russ casting a vote for Mr. Singletary. And Mr. Clark casting a vote for Mr. Singletary. The election of board chairs, Mr. Singletary, 5 votes, Mr. Rhoda, 3. So Mr. Singletary will be the board chair for the 2026 year. This time I relinquish the floor over to Chairman Singletary for the election of board vice chair.
At this time, we'll open the floor for nominations for board vice chair.
I nominate Mr. Ken Benton.
I nominate Mr. Thomas.
Got Mr. Benton and Mr. Thomas. Going to get a motion on the floor to cease nominations at this time. Got a second? Any discussion? All those by signifying by saying aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Since we have 2 candidates, Ms. Brown will be passing out. Again, we'll have a top line for the person we're voting for. Sign, please, and date, and they'll be handed out and read out on the individual. Yes, sir. Mr. Anthony Thomas, by Mr. Hartfield Davis. Mr. Tim Benton, Mr. Chris Clark. Mr. Tim Benton, Mr. Aaron Russ. Mr. Anthony Thomas. Anthony Thomas. Whew. Boy, yours rides worse than mine. Mr. Tim Benton, Mackey Singletary. Mr. Tim Benton, Mr. Steve Kwiatkowski. Mr. Tim Benton, Mr. Tim Benton. Mr. Thomas, Mr. Gary Rhoda. Mr. Tim Benton, Mr. Dennis Edwards. Mr. Tim Benton will serve as the vice chair in the coming year.
I'm gonna go over those numbers again, just the numbers, like you did earlier. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There was 9 ballots cast. So the vote total is Mr. Benton, 6, and Mr. Thomas, 3. There were 9 ballots. Mr. Kwiatkowski was present for the vice chair. That's the difference. So you had 8 ballots cast for chair, 9 ballots for vice chair. So
All right, it's time, any citizen participation?
no, sir.
We'll move on to action item 9, information items, facilities update. Mr. Benny Lynn. Yes, sir.
Facilities update on some of the stuff we had accomplished in this last year. So what I did is just wrote down what was done at every school, so you can kind of understand what's done and where we got to go, which we got quite a bit done. But Bladen Lakes, we had bathrooms done, removed the old floor in the serving line in the cafeteria. The ceiling in the work area in the cafeteria was replaced. We did a hot water boiler for the hot water. It's complete. All of that was done at Bladen Lakes Primary. E-Town Primary, the kindergarten roof was redone. Library air conditioning was done. Redone floors and commodes in 4 bathrooms. We had 16 was the total that we did in the bathrooms at Bladen Lake. Elizabethtown Middle School, concession stand roof on the field house was done. We replaced, redone 11 bathrooms, with all of them got new stalls, new commodes. We recently just redone the kitchen over there for the health codes, to bring it up to health codes. E-Town Middle. Clarkton School of Discovery, we redone the locker rooms in the gym, and we redone we had the bleachers in the last year, so redone. So the bleachers and the locker rooms, we still need to go back to Clarkton and do the ones down the athletic hall, as far as where the football players be. Bladen Primary, we replaced a sewer line in the front of the school last year, and redone 4 bathrooms this summer. Blakenboro Middle School redone 4 bathrooms with new commodes, new stalls, reworked the boiler, redone gym and locker room, bleachers was done. Dublin, we had the HVAC replaced in the kindergarten hallway, kindergarten wing, redone the HVAC in the library, and we had new windows put in the cafeteria. East Arcadia, last year we reworked the pre-K and kindergarten wing, new HVAC in the media center. East Bladen, we repaired the plumbing line by the office that was underground. Far as the sports facility concessions and all of that is out for bid tabulation, so we're waiting on them to just turn in their packet with that. That'll be at East and West. At West Bladen, we repaired the stairs. Downstairs, the bathroom was remodeled totally downstairs and new piping going up to the connecting bathroom above it. So that's just a brief summary of stuff that was done as far as on facility upgrades.
Thank you, Mr. Lane.
Thank you.
Quick question.
Uh-huh.
Maybe you said that, I don't think I heard it. Carter School Discovery, did we get that door put in down there at the restroom at the?
Concession? Yeah.
We did get that door put in?
And stalls put in the bathroom. Stalls.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
And also, can you send us a copy of that?
Well, it's handwritten. I can type it up and send it to you. No problem.
Give us a copy of it, please, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lehman.
All right.
Well, that's probably our top 3 projects moving forward that we need to.
Well, concession, the problem I'm running with, really, in these schools, some of them are old. I just changed out a $4,000 box today at Blakenboro Middle Gym for the heat. And the date on the original box, the timer, was 1970. So we just running into the problem. It's nobody's fault, it's just old. So all the roofs about complete. I think Clarkton School of Discovery, I'm just waiting on the contractor to complete their field concession stand. So all our roofs should be in good shape. We do have some leaks that's popping up in the last week or so, so just have to see where that leads us to.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
On those schools where we have leaks, do we still have a warranty on those schools from those schools?
No, sir.
So the warranty out?
Well, they're just small leaks, though. They're not the whole roof. It's just a leak that had occurred, so we just got to figure out where it's at, seal it, and see what it does. Yes, sir. Do you have any other questions? All right. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Appreciate you. Information item 9.2, child nutrition and STEAM update. Ms. O'Brien.
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. You should have in your packet 3 quotes that I have received for the steamer at Bladen Lakes as you had requested. Plans now are to seek grant funds to help purchase this. Our current budget doesn't allow for this because we have some more pressing needs at this time. Are there any questions?
Hey, guys, if everybody just kind of raise your hand or signify, I'll call on you. That way we're not talking over each other. So, Mr. Davis, if you want to go first, sir.
Yeah, what person is talking about?
The freezer at Elizabethtown Primary is out. It's going to cost $15,000 to $20,000 to repair it to hope get us through a couple of more years. If I have to replace the whole freezer, it's going to be $50,000 plus. I also have a steamer at Blakenboro Primary and East Arcadia that is messed up, and we've already spent this year, let's see, $18,950 at E-Town Primary to replace a water heater. So, we kind of have to prioritize.
Mr. Edwards.
Are the grants out there to receive?
DPI normally has one that we can apply for an equipment assistant grant. And then some companies do, like Hobart or so forth, do offer grants at times.
Just, hold on, just a question on the steamer. Is that, how much is that used inside the school? Is that a daily use? Is it used quite a bit? I mean, just asking.
It's a daily use. I've talked to several of our managers. They use it like to cook their vegetables, maybe their pasta or maybe the rice. But a lot of counties do not have steamers. It's more of a luxury item, if you will, because you can use your oven.
Right,
The managers will tell me all the time, I don't want my steamer to mess up because, I possibly won't get one because, they are rather expensive.
I understand.
And, we kind of place equipment as we do staff in schools based on need.
Right,
Bladen Lakes is very small. They only serve about 120 lunches, and that's a huge expense for a school that size.
I got you. Okay, Mr. Davis?
I think with the ovens, it's been stated several times in prior meetings, that when you use the oven, when you take those vegetables out, those big pans of vegetables, beans, string beans, whatever it may be, you have to add water to them to put them back in that oven so that it doesn't destroy the meat that you're cooking or the beans that you're cooking. So then those ladies have to pick those pans up with additional 15, 20 pounds and carry them over to the line. And we've already had, in the past, two, if not three ladies get scalded from that same situation. We don't want to keep doing that. We're better than that. We're better than that. And those people work for Bladen County Schools. We're better than that. So it's an expense that we need to occur. Based on the estimates that we've got here, and talking with some of the other board members, this seems to be the best one. It's got all the coverage on it.
And which one is that? United Restaurant?
Yeah.
And I think that's the most expensive one, isn't it?
No, it's not. Yes, it is. I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong one.
And per our funds, we have to go with the, we're a federal program, we have to get so many quotes and then we go with the cheapest.
Say what now?
We have to go with the best price. We're a federal program and we have to get at least 3 quotes on our stuff and go with the best price.
Well, I guess we need to get some more quotes and, we need to get this done. We can't put our employees in a position where we put them in harm's way and just say we don't have a problem. We can't do that.
So the best price, is that the 10,000 or the Singer? Is that the best
That was
price?
a tabletop steamer.
Tabletop Singer?
In his email to me, he told me that based on the number of students there, if he was gonna put one there, he would put the small one. My thought is if in the future, if we redistrict or we get more students there, then they would need the larger one if we were to put one there, so it would make more sense, I think, to get the larger one versus the
Tabletop.
smaller one at this time.
I agree with you. And I think that one is somewhere around $20,000.
21 or 22,000, I can't remember.
$4,000. And that one, that's 20,000, has all the warranties. The 1 year, the 3 year, and the 5 year. It has everything. It's totally covered. So we don't have to worry about parts down the road or nothing.
What are those pans weight when they be taking them out? You have any idea?
I wouldn't know what they weighed. But I mean, it's a pan taken out of the oven or taken out of a steamer. I mean, it's the same pan.
I tell you what was told to me by the nutrition, 35 to 40 pounds with the water added. And it's not one man working over there, all these are females. Okay. Just take care of staff.
Any other questions?
So I guess we need to decide on which quote we gonna go with, so that we know what we gonna need when we get ready to get this grant money.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr.
Move on to 9.3, Board Committee Policy Review. Dr. Atkins.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. There's been some discussion regarding committees, and Chairman Singletary did ask me to add this on the agenda, so we just kind of review Policy 2230 now that the board has gone through its organization. There are 3 standing committees that the board has designated in policy presently. Some of them, the scope is a little bit broader, some is more direct. The first one is facilities, transportation, cafeteria, safety, and security under one. We comprise of 3 board members and 3 system personnel. Student services, exceptional children's program, 3 board members and 3 system office personnel. And then curriculum, which will have 3 board members and 3 system office personnel. And the chairperson and members of each committee, that is designated by the chair of the board on an annual basis. And that will be published out to board members. At this point now that we've gone through the election of chair, that'll be something the chair will be tasked with doing. I would think potentially you all share your interest in those committees with the chair, and then those assignments will be made by the chair and shared with everyone, I would think effective January 1. However you all want to work through that. The committee chair presides over those meetings and is responsible for bringing the report back to the full board on any activities of the committee. The committee chair will also call those meetings and establish the agenda for each committee meeting, which will include any item suggested by the superintendent, a committee member, or any board member. I do want to note that when committees do meet, those are still subject to the public meetings law, and so those have to be advertised sufficiently and enough notice, so we have to make sure we're compliant on that. So if a meeting is called, and even if there's an emergency called meeting of a committee, though, there's still some guidelines on that, and so we need to make sure that those are advertised. Any member of the public can attend the committee meeting. The committee cannot take any action, obviously, without a majority of the board. Wanted to share that, so as those are being done, we'll need to make sure that we get those notices out in a timely manner. Policy states that the superintendent will be an ex officio member of each committee, and the superintendent designee will assist the chairperson of that committee in preparing that agenda and ensuring information is available to the committee during its deliberation of issues. A standing committee can only make recommendations to the full board and has no authority to act on behalf of the board unless specifically authorized by law, the board's policy, or by the board by majority vote. Ad hoc committees, obviously those are called as needed. There's a couple suggested ones in the policy. And again, anyone can be formed at any time. And those can be designated by the chairperson and as many people as deemed appropriate by the board in those ad hoc committees. A lot of it depends on the issue or the thing that's being researched. That may end up being, again, you have to be careful not to get 5 or more, because that would constitute a meeting of the official board at that point. It could very well be a combination of staff, other stakeholders that serve on those ad hoc committees. 2 that are listed in here, and again, same conditions for standing committees. There is a budget and finance ad hoc that can be called, or policy/pupil assignment, or any others that could be designated by the board at any time or chair to do further study on any items or any initiatives or anything that may come to us from Raleigh. Advisory councils, we do have those already in place, and those are done. It says it recommends the majority of advisory councils be made up of people with children in the actual school system, and that's typically what we have with parent advisory. Obviously, we have our student advisory councils, and schools have their own advisory councils. Also, we have parent representatives that sit on each school improvement team meeting, and so those are voted on and designated at the school level. That's a part of that. And letter D just talks about the open meetings law, which I kind of summarized a moment ago about the specifics. And so that's the policy 2230. I would yield to Chairman Singletary regarding how he wants to get the feedback from you all and of course, making those assignments and sharing that with everyone.
If it's okay with the board, if I could get an email, I'd like to have them all by the 15th of December, which is exactly 7 days from today. If I can get them on the 15th, then my goal will have them out in the middle of that week, no later than that Friday, to everybody. If you could do that, I'd appreciate it. You can text me, email me, I mean, whichever way you can call me. I'm good all three ways. I just want to make sure I get everybody's recommendation, or if you want to be a part of it, please let me know. That way I can get those put out. Yes, sir.
Yes, we'd had some conversation about, moving from the standing committees to the ad hoc committees. Have we took an official vote, or have we decided that which one we wanted to do as a board in general?
We have not. We're just following the standing committee, at this time, as far as that part. I know we had some discussion back in June maybe, about that. And, it's been brought back up, obviously by board policy states that we should have annual committees. So that's kind of where we're at, following that direction at this time.
Okay, if I may add, I think we had a conversation previously in regards to moving from standing committees to meeting as needed, but that was never, I don't think it was shot down, and so they're just being in compliance with the actual policy, then this is required. However, keep in mind, even though we have the standing committees, we did not need any during the year of 2025. And so that leads me to a couple of questions. And you said December the 25th for board members to make suggestions, or, 15th, I'm sorry, for board members to make recommendations of committees that they would like to serve on. So you're going to appoint, I think what it says, 3 board members and then 3. Right. And so are you assigning the chairs as well?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. And so you said, Dr. Atkinson, that the meetings had to be advertised just as any standing meeting. Is that still the 10-day window, or is that 14 days? What was that? You didn't give a specific.
Let me get that so I can tell you exactly. The 48 hours.
48
Yeah,
hours.
okay.
Yeah, it's
That's what I was
just the
thinking.
typical notice of meetings.
Okay. And usually, I mean, I'm sure we would go beyond that if we know, but it is yet 48 hours. If there's a special emergency that requires a committee, I think it's 24, but there's some special notices we have to do to make that happen, but it has to be a bona fide emergency to go that route.
One thing I will add, Chairman Cemetery, is that as you are appointing the chairs and vice chairs, let's try not to use the same people that already been on them all the time. Let's get some variety in there, so we can get some difference in ideas and give other people an opportunity to lead those committees.
Yes, sir. All right, any other discussion? We're good? All right, we'll move on to 10, action item. Action items 10.1, EAS closure and consolidation study review and public hearing guidelines.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. As you recall, at our last meeting, you did authorize the study, and as also mandated in legislation regarding the East Arcadia potential closure and consolidation. We did send you a draft of that study prior to Thanksgiving to have some time to look at the information. I do want to clarify that tonight the only action that will be requested is to proceed with a public hearing. There is no vote tonight to do any closure or consolidation at all. That is to stay true to the statute. And so I just want to kind of briefly go through the study. We actually have some slides that were kind of done to help summarize that, to hit some of the high points. And let me pull this up for me. It should be in the bottom trailer. Yes, sir.
Who did the study?
It was comprised of district staff, so maintenance, transportation, HR, C&I, everyone was at the table in that. So we pulled in the reference documents that we had, student information system. So that's where those, everything would have come from on this here. All right. Any other questions? I'll go ahead.
I have a couple of questions, but I think it's more so geared towards the presentation that you'll do, so I'll wait until After, unless you want me to ask now.
Whichever way, I mean, whichever one.
First, well, question, I think it was with the students actually riding the bus and the transit, I think it was roughly around 6 a.m. is, how is it that the students from East Arcadia are getting on the bus at 6 o'clock now, 6:04, 6:07, somewhere along in there, and then that's just for their local community, and they'll still get on the bus in the mornings at the same time to travel to Clarkton? That was just a little bit confusing to me. How is that still the same commute time?
Right, and Mr. Goss is here for transportation. I could have him to answer that. I think part of that deals with, depending on the attendance zones, and which part of the area some of those students may be bused to Bladen Lakes, and that may make some of the difference in the time. But Mr. Goss, would you mind, addressing that, please?
How y'all doing this evening?
Good, sir.
Good, good,
And what was your question? I didn't understand the question.
No, it was. My question was pertaining to students and their, I guess, the route for them to be transported from the East Arcadia community or from that area to Clarkton. Based on the study and what I was able to comprehend from it, it shows that the students get on the bus now as early as 6:04, 6:07. And once, if East Arcadia is consolidated with Clarkton School of Discovery, it shows that the students will still get on the bus at the same time, even though they're traveling a much longer distance. I wasn't sure with that, how that was done. Are they doing less stops, or, I mean, you're going a further distance in the same amount of time. It's just,
It's the way the district's shaped. So we've got kids close to East Arcadia that would be going to Clarkton, but then we got kids close to Clarkton that's going to East Arcadia now. So the pickup times are about the same. It's just a different group of kids that will be doing it.
It's all about where they live and
That's where they live at, yeah.
what about the kids in Ward Swamp?
Do I,
What about the kids in Ward Swamp?
the
You know where Ward Swamp is?
Moore Swamp?
Mr.
That would
Rhoda,
be, Easter, E-Town Primary or Bladen Lakes, whichever we decide to go with that. The times will be about the same though.
I mean, going down 11, going up 11, going 53.
Up on 210, there's more swamp. East Arcadia boundary is pretty close to that now. It goes down to,
They would be going to Clarkton? So they would be going to Clarkton?
they would be going to Elizabethtown. We would split the district, like Clarkton School Discovery side and Newtown Middle side. One side of the river and the other.
Mr. Rhoda, if you could hit your mic button, please, sir. Everybody out in the audience, plus the people on, or social media, they want to be able to hear what you're saying down there, sir.
I'm hard to hear anyway.
Yeah, I am too. That's why I talk loud. But, I just couldn't figure out how, I don't know if these guys know the county, but I was a probation officer. So, it used to take me 3 hours to go up there to see one probationer and come back to E-Town. And sometimes I jump on the ferry to come back.
Yeah.
So,
Either way, it's gonna be a long ways, but
yeah,
with the two buses we got down there, we're thinking the times might be shorter on some of them.
and the thing of it is, and we probably need to consolidate, but I don't see a 4 or 5-year-old getting on a bus 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I just don't see
We've
it.
got some on there now that long.
Or 4 or 5-year-olds? Wow, we may need to change that too.
We got some big school districts.
And I just, if I could, I just pulled this chart up, and Mr. Thomas, I was just double checking here. I know right now it shows the two current buses at East Arcadia, bus 29, first pickup is 6:21. Bus 296 is at 6:04. Clarkton has bus 37 at 6:02, bus 39 at 6:03. Combined for, if there was movement in that direction, it's showing here Those, we consolidate the bus 37 and 39. Bus 37 will start at 6:08, and bus 39 would be 6:03. So you're looking at about a 13-minute difference on one route earlier, and the other one is essentially the same, so 6:04, 6:03. So there's one that's about 13 minutes difference right now projected. And that again, also fine-tune that once, obviously we have some that transfer each year, depending on, sometimes have some parents that work Columbus, Brunswick County, their children may go with them. One other factor too is Columbus is building a new school in that area or in, closer toward Bolton. And so I'm not quite sure, because I know we do have some students now that attend Acme Delco. That school would close to form that new school in Columbus County. And so, that's kind of an unknown there on that part. But, yeah, 13 minutes on one and about a minute right now based on current attending students at this point, and what that would look like. So, if I'm correct on that.
How far is the county line from E-Town up 53? How far is the county line from E-Town?
On 210 or?
Going past 210 on 53.
That's where the county line is, it's a breeze part right there.
Easy 15 miles.
I can't hear you that good.
The county line from 53, right, Mr. Rhoden, you're talking about county line from 53 to here.
To here?
From 53 to here.
Pender County or Pender County line?
Like you're heading back up toward the Morris Creek.
That's Pender County.
Yeah, and then you got a little section back off over there, I think.
Yeah, we got the dead end road that goes down Bladen County right there.
And then we got that long dirt road about 10 miles there in Kelly. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Bivens Bridge Road.
Bivens Bridge Road.
Yeah. I don't know if any kids live down there now. I don't know if any kids.
Bivens Bridge Road is E-Town primary.
And then the school itself is not far from the county line as well, off of 87.
Yeah.
And so Bladen is very unique with how the land and how our line, obviously, we think about from our county. I know you can ride from East Arcadia to where the Plainview site was. You've easily got an hour. And that's, that's a straight bypass, no town going down. So it's pretty, Bladen land-wise, and that's why we're the mother county. It's a large land, which is challenging, especially in things like this too.
And Mr. Goss, exactly how many students are we transporting at this time on these buses?
For the East Arcadia?
Yeah.
We've got 22 on one of them and 25 on the other. And 9 of them will be, they're 5th graders, so we got 13 5th graders, so 9 of them from East Arcadia will be going to Clarkton next year anyway.
9 of those 22 or 25? So that's gonna shorten that number.
Yeah, that is short.
You talk about 10 people, almost 10 people. Sure, that's gonna be 12 people
Yeah.
versus 22.
Well, you got Clarkman 10 miles from E-Town. And 10 miles from Bladenburg.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about that.
And I think, Mr. Rhoda, Chairman, if I can speak, one thing too, even beyond just this, there's going to be a need for us to look even at district lines across the whole county and redrawing those, and that's a separate process. Because I think we could do some balanced load as well throughout the district, and so that's kind of a second part that we need to examine as well. Like you said, Mr. Rhoda, because there's some closeness, we do have some overlap in some areas, and we do have some overcrowding. We got 2 elementary schools that are at the max, Bladenboro and Elizabethtown.
Yeah.
And you've got the potential, even with this too, students who are currently at Bladenboro Primary that would have been in the Booker T. Washington school zone could actually return back to Clarkton as well and be back in their home area. And so that's another thing that,
So
I want to thank was it around 80? Up to 80 students potentially that could go back from.
So what you're
primary.
actually saying, Dr. Axton, is that we have some kids that are out of district? Is
Well,
that
with
you're saying?
what happened, yeah, Mr. Davis, what happened with, when Booker T closed,
Right,
the-
right,
they-
right.
they were split between Elizabethtown Primary and,
Right.
so they would actually have, they could, if the board proceeds, they would have a K-8 school back in that area, so they would, rather than having to go to Blaine or Elizabethtown, they could return back to the Clarkton area, and be
Right.
near home on that side, yeah.
But my question is, of these kids that we're transporting, 22 versus 25, are any of them out of district because of school closings? No?
No, they're in district,
They in district. All of them are validly in district.
yes.
So with them being moved to the schools they're going to, we're gonna basically take them out of district.
No, the 9 that's moving up to 6th grade, they will be going to Clarkton anyway,
Okay, but where do they live at, is what I'm asking.
East Arcadia.
But where the current attendance zone is for Clarkton Middle School and Elizabethtown Middle School, they would fall into
They're
Clarkton anyway.
in Clarkton
Um,
anyway.
And I know and this is, and I'll pick up a couple of these things here a little bit. When you think about grade levels, so if you're promoting 5th grade to 6th grade, because we do have 5th grade East Arcadia now, so they go to middle school. You think about what's coming in new this year, we have 3 kindergarten students at East Arcadia. And so if that trajectory continued or be near that, you would look at, you'd only be gaining 3 more students versus the ones going to the middle school potentially.
Okay, so I just have a couple of things just to, just need clarification. I think I recommended this during the last board meeting, and I'm going to say it again, is that I would recommend that the board host a community meeting in East Arcadia, that we travel there and that we meet with the folks in the community, and then that way they're able to express what their thoughts are and what next steps are. So now we're going into their territory, and then that way transportation is not an issue for those individuals. And then secondly, I think we may have touched on the possibility of losing some of the students from East Arcadia, which may not be interested, or parents may not be interested in their students attending Clarkton School of Discovery. Have we explored the opportunity of students, based on parents' requests, that some of those students be able to attend Elizabethtown Primary School versus running the risk of losing those students altogether to Emerald or to some schools in a different county, or private school or charter school or something of that sort? Will those options be given if a parent feels more comfortable with their child remaining in the district, but going to a different school within the district that's not overly populated?
One thing that will be important on that is, would be the second part, in which I would recommend, even beyond this, that we take a look at our district attendance zones and balance that. It's very well likely that may open up there. Right now, Elizabethtown Primary and Blair Primary are practically full, and they cannot have there are only 2 primary schools now that don't have 5th grade because of their space. You know, that was why we had tried to do the capital needs grant to get those additions there to offset that. But I'll tell you honestly, 5th grade needs to be back at the primary school. It's tough for 5th grade to be in a middle school setting. And so there is a possibility, Mr. Thomas, of that happening, depending on how we draw those lines, but that could very well be. And then obviously, anytime, and we have some that elect to do this, we could consider this as well, if they are able to provide sometimes we have that. We do, if a parent's working in Elizabethtown, we will help them relocate so their child is near them. And so that is, Ms. Brown's office handles that, and she's been very open when we have families that, you know, they may live, but parent says, I'll transport them because I work in Elizabethtown, or I work in Clarkton, or I work at the lake, wherever. And so we've been very open on that. To answer the question about that, part of the recommendation tonight is to proceed with that hearing, and that would be, and it may be where the board would want to, and I'd have to yield to our council. I guess there's no restriction of doing more than one. You could potentially, because Clarkton would also be affected, have a public hearing at East Arcadia, and then also have one at Clarkton as well. You could have, is there anything that would prevent that from being done?
You can certainly have more
have at least 3.
I have another question. The children in council in Lisbon, where do they go to school?
Do what now?
The children in council in Lisbon, where do they go to school?
The,
Council, you know, where council?
yeah. Anything south of 211, that's East Arcadia and Clarkton District. And anything north of 211 is E-Town Primary and Council.
I didn't understand you, sir.
That on 211, the boundary for it,
Yes,
anything south up to Hallsborough Road,
yeah, okay.
that's East Arcadia. And everything north of that is Elizabethtown Primary.
Oh, okay. I often wondered about that.
Now, Mr. Goss, I got one more question. I'm probably gonna leave you alone, sir. Thank you for all you do, though. It's a tough job.
I appreciate that.
And, from what I understand, you've been at it for some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I do appreciate everything you do. My last question is, just from the appearance that I saw going to those schools, especially East Arcadia, we got a lot of older buses down there. I mean, they are old.
Yeah.
What is the condition of those buses?
They're in good condition.
They're in good condition.
They're in good condition.
So you would have no problem with sending
I
your
would-
kid on at any time?
Anytime.
Now, we short
You
for
know,
mechanics,
we got
so-
a good group of guys out there doing work
Yeah.
on them.
We do.
And, not to put kids on any of them.
Okay. Okay.
Any of them. I put my kids on them.
Enough said. Enough said.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goff.
Thank you.
And I'll-
Yield,
I'll
Dr.
run
Axel.
through- I'll run through briefly. I know the board's had time to read this, and so I will not, read it directly back to you all. We're aware of East Arcadia is located, currently serving grades K-5. There are 58 students enrolled. The 8-year average is 67.6 students. For the state of North Carolina, the recommendation is 100 students. That's when the state will pick up the cost of a principal. What has taken place over the last years is that local dollars have had to pay for a principal because there was not enough students to generate a principal position. And so that 100 threshold or 7 state pay positions is what provides a principal for a school. And so that has been a cost out of local dollars because of not having the numbers. And so, how do we kind of get here and where we are? I've already alluded to Booker T. Washington and the closure there in 2018. Some of you may remember, even a couple of years before that, at one point, before we got into the Tar Heel construction, there was at one point some discussion of doing 2 K-8 buildings, one between Clarkton and Council that would have served Clarkton School Discovery, Booker T, and East Arcadia at that time, and then obviously the other one was Tar Heel. And obviously going through some of that process, the board did not move forward at that time. Obviously, that would require, there was no needs-based grant at that point when that was discussed. And so that would have been on the backs of taxpayers to have floated a bond to have done that. Historically, in Bladen County, the bonds have not gone in the favor of additional funding. I think the last couple of times there's been one for sales tax, a quarter-cent sales tax, and that has failed both times. And so, obviously, you all are aware, we did the needs-based capital fund. We did get the new construction in Tar Heel, which did the pre-K-8 model there. One thing I'd like to add that is open for review too is that we were able to try to get a pre-K back a couple of years ago at East Arcadia. It did not sustain, and so it did not make the following year. And we do know that there's value in early learning education and the pre-K programs and many of our Head Starts and others that are available for families. The goal will also be, because when Booker T was open, it did have a pre-K, so potentially we could establish rather than a K-8, a pre-K-8, so that we have that available for parents and families, because I do think that there is a lot of value in quality pre-K programs as well. In the enrollment at this year, I did share that we currently have 3 kindergarten students that are enrolled at East Arcadia. The kindergarten and first grade is actually a combination class this year, and I've already shared about pre-K. On the last facility study that was done a while back, that comes out from DPI, I expect that to be coming about any time to be done again. All of the classroom buildings, they looked at the front facility, the one at the back, as well as the Burling Graham gym area. The gym area was the only one that was not marked in poor condition by that DPI study. Some needs that are at the facility now that would have to be obviously done at some point in the next potentially 1 to 3 years. One of the major ones now is the septic system. Mr. Lennon could probably speak to that. It's an old system that is there now. Approximate cost of $600,000 to replace that, just that unit. And so looking at the things that would have to take place that were noted would be HVAC replacement across the building, flooring, paint, some needs in the cafeteria. We did go through some of this when they did the pre-K a couple of years ago. We had to go through some mitigation with lead there. That would have to be done again on that. Yes.
I'm able to pull this up, but I know whenever you're talking about numbers, I see some folks writing things down. Are we able to put that on the screen?
Yeah, it should
and
be
then
on
that
there.
way you are all able to follow us as well.
Yeah. I know they can see it from board up. I didn't realize.
Let's
it
put
was
the first one.
Let me see the mouse. Oh, I've got it on mine, sorry. I'm sorry. Let me, yeah, I'm trying to guess this, mouse is wanting to act funny. Let's see better. There we go. All right. Let me get to where we are here. All right. All right. And so here's a list of needs that have been identified in the facility. Mr. Lennon and his team had worked through getting some estimates of what that would be. Again, the septic is probably would be the most pressing, that if the school remained open would probably have to be done even as early as the next school year. So you'd look at about $600,000. Mr. Lennon, could you speak briefly about the current septic system versus what would have to be done there? I want to kind of give them a context. I know Mr. Hines, who's a retired employee, comes back to service us on that. If you could kind of share.
The system is a filter feed. There's only 3 left in the state, that's one of them. It's not even getting enough water because there's not enough students for us. We had to take it, we had to do a soil sample and send it, take it to numbers and have it tested once a month. It's dried up, there's nothing coming out for a test. We've been getting letters on it, so eventually we either have to redo and put a pumping station and pump it out of there, or they don't even allow redo it. So it's obsolete. So that's the problem where we're at with the septic system. They had to put a whole new pumping station.
Thank you, Mr. Lennon.
And Mr. Linden, that would also include reserve as well. Finding a position for a reserve as well. That's got to be put in place with that system as required.
And I know the board is very familiar, even in the Tar Heel project, the challenges we have with septic there, and even the new facility. So there's been a lot more guidelines that are now in place for that. And so looking at some of the critical needs that would have to be done, you're getting close to just shy of $2 million if you went through and did all those things that will be recommended in that facility. Of course, we know there's geographic challenges, and this study is based off the statute in those areas we had to consider. That the school is geographically isolated from a lot of the county. You look at about a 20-mile difference when you leave, it might be a little between 18 and 20 miles, when you leave East Bladen going toward that way just on 87. That's just one main thoroughfare. That's not looking at all the other areas. We've already shared about Columbus County's new construction. We do have 15 students present now that are attending out-of-district schools, that maybe some that are going with parents. So that, that would be 15 additional students that could be, well, Mr. Davis, I'll clarify the question with him. These students were already approved before the school year started, so there's no, so that's the difference on the transportation side. And right now, Mr. Weimer is actually helping and driving one of those buses as the principal. They've had a hard time getting, Mr. Weimer has his license, so he's been one of the 2 bus drivers there. One of the other things that come out and I know this has always been a concern even for the community, because they've even expressed this with the county commissioners, is access to emergency services. We got this fire department, East Arcadia, EMS. There was concerns about response time. That's been always a pressing concern, especially when you're dealing with children. So that is something that has been, a concern. We do have SRO that has been present, and we're appreciative for his service there. But that is something that has been talked about even in the community at large, is that responsiveness. I think they've looked at some different things in terms of maybe having substations and all, but again, that's out of my area. I just know that was something that had been shared with us. East Arcadia had been consistently on the low performing list for 3 years. Did have a DPI coach that was assigned. They don't have them this year. We do have that combo class this year. Historically, there have been combo classes there. This one is caused by only having 3 students in that kindergarten class. And you could, that is about 15 shy of what would be allowable in that 18, and you have plus 3, could go up to 21 on class size. First grade's a little slightly less, but on the legislative class size. This is a chart of the proficiency rates. Again, just summarizing, the study goes in a lot more detail on this. You can look at the proficiency rates. We've got the proficiency versus growth. You'll see for 24-25 that the chart that's listed there did only have science in 5th grade, and you have that from historical. That's also in that study for you. I'm gonna pause here for a moment before I go into resource limitations. I have met with both faculties. I've met with Clarkson School Discovery and East Arcadia to kind of share where we are at this point in terms of the study. One thing I think that's important to note, and I shared this first thing with East Arcadia staff, this is not a recommended potential closure or consolidation for personnel. And so out the gate, I was able to assure them that sometimes that is what may have to happen in some districts, but there were all of our folks that are currently presently on staff at East Arcadia would have a position, so there would be no one losing a job. So we went first and foremost with that. That's always a concern. That's something you want to ease minds. Then we kind of share where the board was at this place, and offered to ask them questions. I also offered to come back if they had additional questions as the process went through. But I thought it was important that both faculties kind of were made aware. I did that after we shared with you all last month, because obviously you all need to know first, and then we spoke with staff. And so right now, presently, there's a part-time person serving in an exceptional children's program. There's not a dedicated full-time staff member there. Again, it depends on the number of students that have the need as how that resource is allocated. We've had a difficult time with a guidance counselor. We had thought we had the position filled. Person backed out upon offer of employment, so we're right at square one. We have worked it out whether the counselor from Clarkson School Discovery is going there now to support them some. But, again, we were it was going to be a shared position between them and Bladen Lakes presently. What's had to happen for them, because they're so small, is resource teachers like music, art, those kind of things. State licensed K-6 teachers can teach those areas. Those are there, although you want to have subject matter folks when you can. Being so small, it was difficult to have those resources there. Also made it difficult when recruiting staff because of the distance if it was a shared position. And so I've already mentioned about the principal position being local funded. With just the salary, not including any benefits, or those things that would be included in that. Just the base is 76.5, and over a 7-year period, it's $500,500 in local funds that's been spent to fund a principal position. And that's not totally inclusive of insurance, matching employee benefits. That's just the base salary. Utility costs, presently, obviously, we're still in the 25-26 year, and we know that things are increasing. We feel it at our homes. And so in 24-25, you see a list there of some of the basic utilities. Electric was $28,000 for that facility. Star, that is a part of internet, which does our phones for us over IP, $16.45. That's because we have a reduction with it being internet because of the E-rate program. It does offset 85% of that bill, and so that is a discount that's applied to all of our schools. Water, $1,261, and insurance for that facility was $8,184. I'm sure it'll be much more when we get that bill for this year. I want to explain the child nutrition, and I could also have Mr. Bryant probably give more of a overview of that, and I'll probably do that because this is her area. So, Mr. O'Brien, if you'll come forward, please, and talk about what the loss means and the order requirements, so the board has an understanding of that, and they can ask any questions on that part.
Last year at East Arcadia, we lost $25,277. $25,277. By the time we pay for the employees, we have a full-time manager and a part-time employee there, and plus buy all the food to feed those 58 kids, we had a loss. The minimum order requirements are not met for delivery. If we don't, on our produce order, if we don't order $150 worth of produce every week, then they will not deliver to the school. So we're having to have most weeks their produce delivered to East Bladen, and then we have to go and transport it down to East Arcadia. Because if we don't order $150 and they were to deliver it at East Arcadia, they're going to charge me $150. So I don't want that to happen, because we.
How we got into the situation, the other situation with employees picking up stuff for the school and they did the wrong thing. Go ahead.
Okay. There's a lot of food waste due to low enrollment. We have to order everything by the case. There's not a lot of things we can order by half a case, especially in our produce. And the cafeteria needs with the new sink, they need a new 2-compartment sink, I think it is. And I talked to Mr. Lennon, and he said to put that in there, we would have to do he'd have to do some replumbing and stuff, which will be a major cost.
You don't need a woman.
There's works out there, Mr. Rudd. Which that one could, you could relocate that.
Yeah.
But, and to kind of give context on that sink too, you all remember, Mr. Lennon shared this, E-Town Middle's been in for quite some time. It was the old East Bladen, and the health department required us to go in and redo a sink over there because standards had changed. And we had to redo plumbing just to get that sink exactly where the health inspector wanted it to be at. They washed their hands, but it was not in the close enough to the food prep area. And so we had to go back on that. And so kind of similar thing here is a lot of extra cost to go back and, I hate to say retrofit, but to go back and do all that work. So kind of similar thing there. You have to redo some of the plumbing to get that dual base sink in that area.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Bryant.
And again, support travel costs, and this is just rough estimate because most of the folks that transport do use a county vehicle. However, you do have to pay that travel cost on the county vehicle for fuel and all that. And so on average, annually, it's about $11,761 in support vehicles. That could be district office, maintenance, transportation, technology, that could be. So that's typically what that would be for support cost to drive there for that. And so the proposed action, again, not to be done tonight, but what is being proposed based on the study and has been shared is to consolidate East Arcadia presently with Clarkton School of Discovery. And so benefits, there are vacant classrooms available at Clarkton School of Discovery. We do have furniture available for the most part, and also any furniture East Arcadia could be relocated as well, because I do know that Mr. Weimer and the team had done some new purchases of some furniture and things to help out down there. But again, with the student enrollment so low, they did not generate a lot of funding to support being able to do a whole lot at one time. Thinking about resource allocation, access to some of those resource teachers, full-time EC support, full-time guidance counselor, those things are important as well. Student supports and programs. It's difficult in a smaller facility. It's kind of a catch-22 because you hear them say that one-on-one learning is great, and it is good. But the challenge there is being able to have access to, because of what you generate to some of those things, does make it difficult. And we believe that every child should have the most optimal educational experience possible. And so, the part of that would be to have more access to more services and programs. The goal would be to, obviously, can't promise there won't be a, because sometimes that happens in any school. It depends on how our numbers fall. It might be where we have 2 classrooms of second grade students and maybe 4 kids left over, and we may have to do a combo class. Sometimes schools, depending on what they generate, may can use Title I to supplement and do an additional position and reduce some class size. Most of them are able to do that. With East Arcadia's numbers that generate in that program, they did not have that flexibility either. And so, the goal would be to reduce and hopefully eliminate any combination classes at all. Again, no guarantee that it happens across the district. And I'll highlight again, all of the current staff would be able to be employed and transferred to Clarkton School of Discovery, so there is no loss. That's custodian, that is cafeteria, teacher assistant, teachers, and so that is important to note on that as well. Prep work, obviously, we'll have to do a little bit of work at Clarkton. This happens anytime you do that. We'll need to retrofit the bathrooms and water fountains on one wing there for the smaller students. There is some minor exterior painting. We did have interior painting done quite some time back. We had ESSER, so we got all those schools done. So that's a benefit to us, so that's already been done. Install the playground. I believe there's been funding already set aside for a playground already anyway. And so that's no additional expense, so it's just a matter of getting it in and getting it installed. We would need that. There'll be some small paving areas to kind of make a loop around the building. I know that Mr. Lennon and Mr. Goss have talked. We have potentially, and this has happened before, because this would be new and typically they had done it one time for each school, to where DOT may support us and provide that paving and that entrance and exit to the facility, which would not be a cost to the board. And we do know there'll be some additional parking that would be needed. And again, that would be a part of that. The bus lot currently is on the right side of the building. Staff is parking a couple areas there and some toward the front, so we need to rework that slightly. And so those minor adjustments, that's pretty much the gist of what we would have for the most part, versus if you had to bring East Arcadia back up. And we do know the most pressing thing, the septic at $600,000. And so we do know that that would be a cost savings there. You'd also look at the annual cost. Now, one thing to consider as well is, obviously if the board move forward past a public hearing, we'd also have to look at the facility itself, declaring that as, surplus property, and just like we did with the Plainview property, and offer to the county commissioners first and going through that. That will be something that will be done subsequent to any decision that the board would make. As long as facilities are in place, you're going to have some minor costs. You've got to keep electric. You've got to keep some of those basic services. And so, at that point, the board will have to evaluate and see. There may be, I know at one point, BCC had used the facility at East Arcadia to do some classes in the past. Don't know what that may be. Again, we wouldn't be able to project that by any means at all. It would just be of, there's opportunities there, and we'd have to look at options. So same kind of process that would have to be done with the facility itself if the board made a decision to move forward. I know we've already kind of talked about the transportation, so I'm going to move forward from that.
Jason, on the
Yes.
transportation,
Uh-huh.
I got a question there. Do you know exactly how many teachers we have that are being shared between East Arcadia and other schools? And, are we doing that's first part of the question. Second part of the question is, are we compensating them for their fuel?
Yes, anytime with an itinerant teacher, they'll have a base school. And so if there's, we have some, if they have to move during the day, the first place they go is their point of duty. And so if I was between Bladen Lakes and East Arcadia, if my schedule was like an A, B, or a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Bladen Lakes, Tuesday, Thursday, East Arcadia. We do have some itinerants that move in the middle of the day. And so if they leave their first point of duty to go elsewhere, we do pay them travel. And so if they had to leave their point of duty for that day, we do compensate those employees for travel. That does happen in some of those itinerant positions. I don't think it's in this case, because that's typically what we find a lot of that's between middle and high or between two middle schools. Most of the time, the elementary principals work together, and they kind of had them there for the day. And so, but if that did, we do compensate them for any travel that would be in there.
Okay, so the other part of the question is, do you know exactly how many teachers that we have that are being shared between these schools?
Well, presently, it would have been the guidance counselor, and so originally, but that position, so what's happened is now the Clarkton School Discovery Counselor has been supporting them, and so she does travel, so that she will be one of those itinerant positions. That's Miss Boomhauer. Ms. Boomhauer, and we have two Ms. Boomhauers. That's Ms. Boomhauer that's doing that now. But we do have that vacancy. What would happen in this case is the students move, they would have access to Ms. Boomhauer. We still have the position open for Bladen Lakes that will become full-time there. Obviously, we work through those numbers. And so that's itinerant. We do have part-time EC, but they're just serving there, so they're not traveling between those schools. Because of their size, our shared positions for music and things like that is actually between Dublin and Bladen Lakes. And so they're really those teachers they're doing it all, which a K-6 teacher can. It's just that the numbers are not there. If they went down, they may have one class or two classes a day, and that just, that makes it difficult. I will say that the staff at East Arcadia is a great staff. I even shared that commendation when I met with them. They do a lot with those students and integrating the art, integrating the music, and doing those things, obviously ensuring the physical education part of that, again, which could be done with a K-6 license. But it's those kind of resources like that those all students deserve when we can make it available. It'll be nice you have a certified PE teacher, a certified music teacher, a certified, even though K-6 by law or by licensure can do it, we can't all be experts in every area, but a K-6 teacher has to be an expert in multiple content areas, English, math, social studies, and all those areas. And so, that's pretty much, in terms of staff, for the most part, those that are there, they are part of East Arcadia staff. And so that is a good question. And so we know, and we've talked about this with budget, especially, we've already got one salary in local dollars, other expenses, and that kind of thing. And I share with both faculties, this is not an easy thing to talk about. It's not an easy thing to debate. It's not an easy thing to decide, because you do look at multiple avenues when you think about this. It is, obviously, most important thing is to think about the children. And how can we ensure that they get access to a quality education in the appropriate type of facility and all those things that we do. We want that for all of our students. And so we know the elephant in the room is the funding. We've had a shortfall. We've talked through that already. At this point, I'll kind of give you an update that kind of goes along with this. The county commissioners had their organizational meeting last week to elect their chair, vice chair, as we did this week. And talking with the county manager and current leadership on those boards was to allow the boards to do their organization, select their chairs, and to start with the chairs and the county manager and myself to talk that agenda and to plan a time for us to have that joint meeting. And part of that is this: we know there's budget shortfall, and you know we're charged with trying to find ways in which we can do what we can, our part, to reduce any impact and to be good stewards and to think about ways that a district can reduce cost. We do know in this, personnel is not going to be that way. You still got the same number of students those students have to have, and potentially more. It is possible some additional staff may shift depending on the second part we look at if this moves forward. Regardless if this moves forward or not, we're going to have to look at redistricting because that's a need already, we know. And so even beyond this component, you know, there may be some shift to cover how we have to move students around in that. We do know there's no bones about it. There's a lot of uncertainty that's come out of the federal side with money. We know that the U.S. Department of Education is slowly being closed. Several of our areas are moving under the Department of Labor. A lot of your federal funded programs that we are part of have moved to Department of Labor, CTE as well, Department of Labor. Migrant education appears to be falling under the Department of Labor, Title I, Title II, Title IV, rural low-income schools. And so EC is moving to the Department of Health and Human Services, who currently has pre-K, and that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. So it's a changing time all the way across, and not even to talk about anything political, but it's a lot of transition, and not just even at the federal level, but even at the state. We've got some changes taking place as well. I do feel like that the challenge, just us, our board, we don't have taxation authority. That's the county commissioners. Same thing with State Board of Education. Look at policy. They don't have taxation authority. That's the legislature. And so, you know, we can share priorities and things, but it goes back to those that have that authority to generate the revenue. Really, we're at their mercy quite often, whether that be federal, state, or local. And so it's important to note, aside from the one-time allocation, we've been flat for 3 years. No additional funding. We know utilities, those kind of things have gone up and will continue to do so. And so what could benefits happen with potential closure consolidation? Obviously addressing some of the budget challenges, you know, maintaining and providing an increased higher level of education, better use of resources. Again, the children have to be number one, and we know that. And so what we can do that would give them the best benefit is what we've got to consider. That's our ultimate goal. Is it more access to services? Can we do that and accomplish that through this? I believe we can. Again, you know, you've got faculty at East Arcadia, very caring, it's tight. It's a little family there. And I will tell you, when you go into those meetings, and I've been different ones over times past, you always wonder what you're going to walk into. Such a sweet spirit in that room that were willing to do what was best for kids, very open-minded, you know, wanted to ease any concerns they had about employment out the gate. So that's important, though. And you know, one thing we would do if this moved forward, just like we did with Tar Heel, with Plainview and Tar Heel, we would work and give opportunities for both faculties, even if we had to do some things over the summer and provide stipends, so they can start working together. You know, one thing now is that the current principal of Clarkton School of Discovery has experience in a K-8 setting already in the scheduling that is taking place. Ms. Murillo served as an assistant principal at Tar Heel with Dr. Ruffin when the K-8 was implemented, and so she has knowledge of that as well. And so it is unique when you deal with a K-8 setting. You are essentially operating two schools in one building, but it is one family and one unit, and it's just by nature of some of the requirements that are different for elementary versus the middle grades. Basically, the one-time capital avoidance is that total cost to fix everything. Annual savings, we looked at utilities at $39,000, the child nutrition loss at $25,000, travel, and then the principal position just for the salary. That's not the other benefits. You're looking at annual savings just on those at $152,000 per year. And again, that's just on those 4 items. And so we've kind of talked through several things already in these points. So I'll move through these. This is what the statute tells us we have to have, 115C, 72. I want to thank our board attorney for helping to guide us through this, because we want to make sure that we're doing what's right by law and policy on this. And so that brings us to where we are now, part of that study. These things are part of what has to be there. The last part being a public hearing to be proposed, and that to be scheduling. Mr. Thomas, you kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, and obviously, you know, that is required in statute. Statute does not say number of times or how many, but I do agree that there is importance, and you know, you can make a case for either way, but there is importance for allowing the community to be able to come and share in that home area. And you are looking at 2 schools that are impacted. You've got East Arcadia as well as Clarkton. And so from the administrative side, I believe there's value in having a hearing at both places, because you're going to have folks that may be bound by travel as well. And so you go into both of those communities and have that public hearing. And so tonight we've shared the study. There is no decisions in specific to closure consolidation, because we still have another thing that needs to be done. But our action item tonight is the following recommendation, and I'll kind of give some explanation. And so the recommendation from the administration to the board tonight is to hold the public hearing that's required by statute for the consolidation, closure of East Arcadia with Clarkton School of Discovery. And this last part is to direct the superintendent chair to identify agreeable dates for the hearing and issue the notice. I want to explain that a little bit, and that would be, I asked our board counsel if we could do this. We want to poll everyone to see when you'd be available. This will be outside of our regular scheduled meeting. And so it's my recommendation that we have 2, one in East Arcadia, one in Clarkton, that we poll you all to see. Obviously, January at the earliest, because we've got the holidays, and we're going to have some families traveling. And I think that it would be, even if one had to be before the regular meeting and one after or around that time, I don't see any recommendations even from that part being any sooner than February. So at the earliest, I think that if the board was going to consider moving forward, at the earliest it would be the February regular scheduled meeting. And so part of that would be to allow us to work with you all, poll you to see what agreeable dates would be. Also, I talked with our board counsel. The best format for that too is to follow the current board's policy on public participation, which will be the 3 minutes, and allow folks, and now we have advanced sign up, but that you couldn't obviously do because it's a special meeting. We would have a sign-up sheet available prior to the meeting that folks could come in, and they could sign up to speak. They can speak either for or against, and they would have, pending board approval in the part of this recommendation, to follow that policy, they would have 3 minutes. Same rules apply, not donate any time, and we would read that out and make that available in the notice of those meetings to the public for that. Ideally, I think it would be good to release both notices at the same time of those meetings, if we could do that schedule and do that. And so want to kind of explain that part of the recommendation. And so the recommendation tonight for your action is to move forward with having public hearings.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Rhoda, you had a question?
Yes, I've been through one of these, Jason, and let me turn this thing on, please.
Yes, sir.
I've been through one of these, and every school that this affects, should have a public hearing at that location. And I also think that Kelly, being this, some places over the river over there, 20 miles from East Arcadia, I think we should have one over in Kelly also. You know, I mean, there's not a school there, but we can have one over there.
And that would be obviously up for you all to decide. We'd have to try to find a location, maybe one of the churches or something.
I mean,
Yeah.
if it affects E-Town, we should have a public hearing here. Whatever schools it affect, we should have a public hearing.
I think the direct effect, obviously in this one, we do know those two sites for sure. You know, and I think it would depend on, and we'd have to look, you know, because and like Mr. Goff said, there's the line kind of goes, some of those are Bladen Lakes District, some would be, you know, current district line would be East Arcadia. And I think if we gave sufficient notice, you know, and just because if I live in East Arcadia, that doesn't mean that I cannot go to the one at Clarkton versus the one at East Arcadia. They have flexibility. They can go to any of them. They can go to both of them, really. Or if you all decide to do a third one. My initial recommendation is at least the two minimum, I would think. And then you all could decide if you do any action at this point, you all could tell us to go with 3. But I say at a minimum at least. And I think the school building is the best place in those 2 areas because that's what folks are used to. We'd have to kind of evaluate to see at East Arcadia if the cafeteria or the gym would be better. We want also, because they're official meetings, we want to be able to get the equipment there and be able to stream those so anyone that couldn't attend, the public could also hear just like they hear here with us. So we want to make sure we had, you know, wherever we decide to, the actual place, like either gym, is designated in that notice and that we have the proper equipment and things there. And just like in, and I'll have Attorney Weinstein to correct me, just in our public comment here, that is really a listening session. We would not engage in any, we wouldn't be answering any questions. We'd just be listening to those comments. And then, of course, the board would we'd do any debate in our regular meeting at that point. And so, let me phrase all this in one recommendation now. And because this is complicated, I want to make sure we cover everything.
Okay, before you do that with the recommendation, I do want to, I think you said about the advertisement for the public forum or the community forum. You may have mentioned this, but if not, I think we should consider, because I think it's typically whenever folks sign up for the day of to be, I guess, to talk or to share the sentiments of whatever their concerns are, public comments, I guess is how it's phrased. I think we need to be sure that whenever it's advertised, that it tells individuals that they have to sign up at least 10 minutes prior to, because I would hate for someone to show up at 6 o'clock or 6:02 and then they not be provided that opportunity to speak because they didn't meet their deadline. So we let folks know that ahead of time. I think that'll get a better response. And also, if they want to sign up earlier, either, I mean, maybe they could send an email or something of that sort, just to have that in the advertisement.
Right, and I think that's important that we are as detailed as possible in there so they know all the moving parts. And I have no issue if there's not with us.
Yeah, I was just going to add that for a public hearing, all of the rules for how to participate have to be in that notice as well. So it should be very detailed.
And we would work with,
Mr. Edwards, you had a comment?
Gary may be able to follow up on this. When we started the stuff for Tari and all that, it seems like the meeting was kind of like a town hall. And we didn't have individual people. I mean, we kind of just give everybody the opportunity to speak. I don't know, we actually doing what you're talking about, Anthony, as far as everybody's having to sign in and stuff like that.
That's what Dr. Atkinson said.
what we would, and, you know, advertise time and place. And the goal will be, if we have 5 people or 30, we honor all those that sign up properly to speak within the rules. And so outside of that, because we have to specify the purpose of that meeting, we have to strictly do just that. So there won't be any other things that we would do. Obviously, right now, the study and these slides are in board docs. They're public now. Folks can view them. I have no issue of even attaching on our like social media, we can attach those to the notice so folks can review that and be able to read exactly. So the public now has access to everything you all have now.
Right. I do want to clarify that that was not my recommendation to have folks to sign in. It was stated that we had to follow the same protocol as a regular meeting. However, I do want to share it as a matter of record. I'm not opposed to anyone showing up and speaking. So if it's 500 individuals that get 3 minutes apiece, that's perfectly fine with me. I think it's their community, it's their concerns. I just want to make sure that that's a matter of record, that that was not my recommendation, that it was stated that we have to follow the same protocol as a normal board meeting in response
Outside
to
of the,
community.
and that would be the thing difference, we wouldn't have the 30-minute restriction.
Yeah, so I think the recommendation.
3 minutes.
Oh, under typical board policy, the total amount of public comment is 30 minutes, so it allows for 10 speakers. But the major distinction with a public hearing is there's not going to be an end time. You keep hearing until there's no one else to hear. I think the recommendation, because there does have to be some type of procedure in place for how to speak, how long speakers get, if they're signed up or not, was to just adopt the public comment policy. But y'all don't have to do that. You can choose different rules for the public hearing. That just needs to get worked out, so it goes in the notice. And for public hearings, notice has to be put out 2 weeks in advance.
That's where the 14 days came from.
14 days for that one, correct.
And also,
Mr. Davis,
Jason,
you had a comment, sir?
I was gonna say, if the board did so decide to do one in the Killer area, they do have a community building down there that would be feasible to hold a meeting there as well. They do have a building there. If that's what the board so decides to do.
And I'll go ahead, if the board's okay, I'll go ahead and, help me if I'm going to give you this recommendation so it's official for the record, and then obviously you all can add to, change. And so based on what we originally looked at, the recommendation is to hold public hearings on the consolidation of East Arcadia and Clarkton into Clarkton. Presently, the hearings will be scheduled for East Arcadia School and Clarkton School of Discovery. And so to work through that, we'll ask the board, as a part of this recommendation, if you all decide to approve this, would direct myself and the chair to work with you all to set dates that we can ensure. Ideally, you'd want all board members present because it is important. This is a pretty major decision. And so we want to be able to find available dates. You all may decide, let's go ahead and do both in 1 week. We may do one week, one another. But we would poll you all for your availability to have those, and that is part of this recommendation. Also, in addition, that we would adopt the guidelines for the public hearing consistent with our board policy, with the exception of the 30-minute limitation. We would hear all speakers that signed in to speak by the beginning of the meeting. So my recommendation is once we begin the meeting, all those that have signed would be called in the order in which they signed in, and we'd follow those rules until all speakers had an opportunity to speak at both hearings. And that's the recommendation from the administration tonight.
So can I get a motion on the table to approve 10.1?
Motion to approve 10.1.
Second.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all, and we'll be in touch on some dates, the chair and I. And
We'll move on to action item 10.2, which is approval of policy 4318, use of wireless communication devices.
Thank you, Chairman, Secretary, and board members. The 4318 policy, use of wireless communication devices. This is one we actually had a couple of months ago. It was inadvertently left off. It's still on the table, which is still compliant with board policy. As you all recall, this was the one that our board council, because of our current practice, we have something different for our elementary, middle versus high school elementary and middle school that turned in the beginning of the day, returned end of the day for high school, because we have periods they are turned in and returned prior to class changes. And so we had to clarify that. The two additions that came from the School Board Association originally had one or the other. And so our board council has reviewed the policy, made the necessary edits. It has been on the table, so what we will need to do tonight, because legislation requires that the board have a policy specific to this on or before January 1 of 2026. And so we would need for the board to first approve to remove policy 4318 from the table for consideration, and then subsequently vote to approve board policy 4318 as presented.
Can I get a motion on the floor to remove policy 4318 wireless devices from the table?
Second.
I have a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. I need to get can we get a motion on the floor to approve? Second. I have a second on the floor. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Motion carries. Action item 10.3, fall 2025 custom policy updates.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. These always historically find their way coming in about a week before the meeting. And so obviously consistent with the board's policy, this is the first reading for the fall 2025 custom policy updates, and these is a result of any legislative actions or things that would have taken place, or the School Board Association bringing clarity. As you know, many of the policies have legal references, and there may be some changes that they are updating some of these policies on. They did provide an update table and a subscriber notice. We do subscribe to North Carolina School Board Association Policy Service, so typically they do that for us. Obviously, our board council reviews those as well, and there's times when the board has to exercise options in some of those policies. I'm not aware of any specifically outside of these that will require any changes outside of what is being recommended from the School Boards Association in accordance with the board's policy. I'm requesting that the board place the fall 2025 custom policy updates on the table for continued review and to be brought back for consideration and action at the January 2026 meeting.
Can I get a motion on the floor to place the fall 2025 custom policy updates on the table as to review in the January meeting?
Make a motion to carry those policy updates over from tonight's meeting to January 2026 meeting, as so stated.
I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion? Let's see. We will need to get a motion for the board to convene in a closed session, prevent the disclosure of confidential information pursuant of G.S.143.1811A 1 and 5 and 6, GS 115C319, and consult with the board attorney and preserve with the attorney-client privilege pursuant to GS 143-318.11, number 3.
So moved.
Second.
I got a second. Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Going to closed session.
I will email you with the dates I'm available.
Okay.
For the on-site.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. You have a twin brother? I swear your doppelganger walked into the gatehouse of the prison today. I thought it was you. A prisoner? No.
All those in favor by signifying by saying aye. All opposed.
Aye.
Back in open session. Dr. Atkinson, action item 11.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. I request you approve the personnel action items as presented, please.
Can I get a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Got a second? Any discussion? All those in favor by signifying by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Motion carried. Board comment. Action, item 13.
I've just got two issues. I won't say issues, just concerns. First one is, I wanna kinda know where we are with the SRO contract and where we stand with that. There's been a lot of talk about it in the last 30 days out in the public, so definitely wanna know where we stand on that completely. So, Jason, who's gonna give us that update?
And honestly, the progress has been, we're working now to, our board attorney, has had conversation with the attorney for the sheriff's office. There are some concerns that we have with some of the language, and, so at this point, it's kind of in the back and forth. I'll let our full counsel talk about where she is in that process, but we haven't had much leeway beyond, trying, next step, try to schedule a meeting again, but we have, the recommendations that we have presented have not been very well received.
I think that's a fair assessment. Yes, so where we are now is Dr. Atkinson and the chair and Ms. Brown and I are going to go line by line through what we were sent back, and then the administration will decide what to recommend based on that, or if there's another iteration that goes back to the sheriff's office.
Okay, I just wanna make sure there's some full transparency with the entire board as to what the expectation of this contract is supposed to look like.
Exactly.
Because, as we all already know, whether we admit it or not, to some degree, they are fully in the mindset that it's gonna go their way, and that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, and that may require it to be a little slower than I would like and more back and forth. But we don't have anything to, like, what I have right now, I'm not recommending to the board. So that's why it's a little quiet.
We have some concerns, and, we've heard the board and its expectations, and there's some things I don't think that we're willing to really do.
Yeah, I'll send an update by the end of next week by email with where things are and if where there's been movement.
So currently, how many SROs do we have? Because I know that can or cannot change. They hired on Monday, and by next Monday, they gone.
We have a SRO at every school right now.
Every school. And it's to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that the county's still paying for 6 and we're still paying for 6? Okay.
Let's just leave it like this.
Okay, I mean, that's what we want, but the thing about it is we got that now. Because
Right.
we're trying to get the contract signed.
Right.
As soon as the contract gets signed, that's where the issue comes, because then we lose SROs, but we're still paying the money, and that's what's
Yeah,
not gonna happen.
yeah, and that's a little bit of the, like, right now, it's actually okay while we're trying to get this into place. So the way we deal with that urgency is, I think, part of the negotiation on it.
So we need to make it completely understood that we need 12 SROs consistently.
Yes.
At those schools. If he loses anybody due to them getting fired or we're not paying
Right.
for those positions, we're only paying for the positions that are currently being filled.
Yes.
I think that is the consensus of the board.
Right, that's
If
what we-
anybody
And very
disagrees,
fair.
And that was part of our concern too,
And
even.
no overtime.
Right, that's it,
Right.
and that's another thing, because what had happened, in the past was, different folks filling in, that became a nightmare and went way above. We were pretty clear that Bladen County Schools is not responsible for any overtime pay. And that's one thing that's a part of that we're working through, because and I'm not trying to be negative, but, each organization has their own staff concerns. It's not, if we're the receiver of the services, it's not our concern in terms of, if you got to get someone else to fill in that additional cost. The school system shouldn't bear that additional cost.
He thinks it's an open paycheck, an open check, but it's not.
And so we're working through that, but we've hit some roadblocks. We're going to try to, and also part of that too is the expectations, time to be on campus, time to leave campus, assistance with traffic, different things like that. And so we want all that clarified, to what the expectations are. And we're clear, they're not our employees, but if anytime you have a contracted service, you have expectations of what you should receive as a part of that service.
Now, I don't know what, and Ms. Brown's, I'm sure is on top of this, I hope, but I don't know what the kit for games and how many SROs are assigned to games. That would basically be dependent upon the school that it's happening at.
Right.
Obviously what school we're playing too, but, 'cause we've had issues in the past. I thank y'all for what you're doing.
Yes, sir, thank you.
My other thing is, are we looking at anything at all, Jason, for the Eastern teachers, for the pre-K teachers in some kind of supplement? And I know we're waiting on budgets and all that stuff and money, but it's just wrong if, how can the other school districts do it, but we can't get it done?
I don't know who all has gone outside of that and who hasn't. I know in terms of the way that is written, no state or federal dollars could be used to pay that because it's in that guidance. It would have to be local dollars. And so if you look at that same amount, and it varies every year depending on the number, you're looking somewhere probably between, I think it'd be a little over, was it about 4,000? I get the exact amount. I think Ms. Brown is at 9. We have 9 pre-K teachers. So with the matching benefits and all, you're looking at probably about 50,000, or give or take. That would have to come out of local funds to if the board wanted to do that. But right now, at this point, everything that is budgeted, there's no.
We've been talking about this for 4 years, and I absolutely don't agree with us not giving them something. As I stated before, if the other counties can find a way to do it, they under the same rules and guidelines we are, we should be able to do it too.
Well, and the things that we have had full control over, we have given every employee something. So when it came to the ESSER things, we made sure everybody got everything. It's rare. I don't know why they structured it the way they did, because even now, for principal pay, they're counting pre-K in the number of deciding that on the principal scale. But that's the only thing I know of where they're counting them at. I'm not sure why they did it that way. Like I said, I think last time there was a couple times that pre-K got something the others didn't, but I don't think it was it was from DHHS, which is a part of their program. But I do know that everything that we have done that has come from you all has been to everybody. And so this one's been kind of unique because the only place it can come from is local. We have a shortfall there now. Now the board can say, you all want to do something, set that amount. I can get the actual final amount that was done, because it's a different pot every year. And so we basically take it, divide it by the K-12 teachers, so it's evenly distributed. I can ask finance to get that for me. We could bring it back next month. I could try to see if there's a way we can do, even, I think some that may have done something are not necessarily doing the same amount, but are doing something. Yeah, I mean, somebody say $1,000, but, I can get that. We could try to see if we can find somewhere in local, which I know the local budget is pretty locked, but we'd have to take it from somewhere else to work that out. But, I mean, that's something I'm willing to look into, and put it out before y'all can look at some options.
I just think we need to find a way to get it done, and I hope that we can work together on that and get that done for those teachers.
And what will be helpful, and I'll also do this too, I'll pull our, numbers. I'll check our RESA, other districts, and see who has and who hadn't, who has, how did they determine an amount, and they come up with that. So that way we'd have that information to use too. So I'll have that for us at the January meeting.
Okay, if I may go next, I guess as a beginner, ask a question. I noticed that most of the district staff did not hear during this time, and normally they're here to the end. Were they told not to stay, or?
I did, told them that unless they had a presentation, I did dismiss them at
Okay.
closed
I was
session.
just wondering,
Yeah.
because there were some things that were said at the last board meeting by Ms. Harrelson, as you all probably remember as much as I do, in regards to her feelings, and she did use the word "we," which is in plural form, so it appeared as if it was multiple individuals that shared those same types of feelings. And just in a review of that evening, throughout the preceding few days, I wanted to be sure to be intentional to tell district staff that they are appreciated. One of the things that happens is that we don't always know what they're doing or what their job entails, and so we have to ask a series of questions because we've been charged to make decisions, and so we have to ask those questions. And they, it's not to grill or to put anybody in the hot seat. It's just for us to have information, and it allows us to make informed decisions. And so I was hoping that they would be present tonight. I did do a lengthy email to the staff and the folks that were present at that meeting, but I chose not to send it for legal reasons, because I didn't want it to be the appearance of guilt or anything of that sort. I just wanted to be sure, because I've worked with the hostile board before, so much so that the board had to be dissolved by the state agency, and I don't want anyone to ever feel that way. But I do, at the same time, want to be sure that we hold accountability to highest regards, and that we don't diminish a person's gifts, talents, or anything of that sort based on a presentation. So I wanted to share that with those folks. Sadly, they're not here to hear it. But if you could please, Ms. Brown, Dr. Atkinson, if you could share that with the staff, that they are indeed appreciated. They may not hear that enough. And so I thought it would be an appropriate time to share that. To go into some of my concerns, I guess I'm changing gears. One of the things is I was just with the group just a few moments ago in regards to policy, and folks said, well, this is what the policy says. All right, so we can't pick and choose what policies we follow. If a policy is in place, then that means at that time we have to follow it. All right, so here we are. I asked at our last board meeting, I questioned policy 7805. I think I did an apology for that one. And there was policy 7420 as in regards to the superintendent's extended contract, which we voted on in public session. I made the statement that we were out of compliance with that, as we did not follow what was listed in the actual policy, and so it was incorrect, and so we're out of compliance. I asked for that to be placed on the agenda. I asked for that in closed session, and I then, when I gave comments, I asked for it in an open session. And Dr. Atkinson, you asked what were those policies again, and I gave you the numbers for those. And so whenever I saw the actual agenda, I noticed that it wasn't on there. So the attorney sent out an email to us in regards to having items added to the actual agenda. And I went back to the actual policy. It says, per your board policy 2330, a request to have an item of business placed on the agenda must be received at least 1 week before the meeting. It doesn't say which way it has to be received. It could, an ordinance with that. It could be verbal. It could be an email, written form. You can send it by pigeon, whatever, as long as it's there 1 week prior to. And I shared that request roughly, what was it, about 28 days ago, and it's still not on the agenda. So, were you going to make?
Well, I can speak, because I know we've tried to make sure we didn't miss anything, and that would have been an honest oversight, because we knew there were several things that, updates like the child nutrition, building updates, and so now I will share this in policy. You all can vote now by 2/3 to add it tonight now and discuss it. That
Right,
can
so-
be done. So, but again, that was a total oversight. Again, we thought we had everything, but we're human, so.
Right, I think-
Anything in the policy that requires a vote. There's nothing in the policy that requires a vote. If the board member requests it, then at some
Well,
point in time it needs to be on.
At this point, in this meeting, it can be added now with a 2/3 vote to be discussed now because it was inadvertently left off.
Okay, so
Yeah,
just,
that's a possibility. I mean, y'all could do that, or we could ensure that it's there next time, but I mean, that's,
right, just to reframe it, from a different set of lenses, you said it was inadvertently left off. Because it pertained to the superintendent, it could be perceived that it was purposely omitted as if something else was purposely omitted from another document that we had as well. So I'm seeing a trend. My concern is, in my mind, I said, wait a second, are they saying that they're tired of hearing this, that they want to have this on the agenda, we're going to pick and choose, and now I'm hearing that it was actually an accident. But according to policy, I did follow protocol. I made everyone aware 2 times in the same meeting, and then that was excluded, whether it was intentional or whether it was by accident. I just want to be sure that I shared that with the board. I think that all board members need to be respected, whether they're in the majority or minority. I think that we all equally have equal importance on the board and what we focus on. I am requesting, and in fact, that was not my first request. In fact, I've mentioned that numerous times about not being in compliance with that policy. In fact, I think one time I read the policy, I highlighted certain sections and went back to in fact, I sent it in the email saying that we're out of compliance, this is what this is. So, and that's dated back to, I think it was June or July or something of that sort. I can go back to my email. So it's been an ongoing thing. And as soon as I said, you know what? I asked in closed session, but because folks are not privy to that information, I decided to ask in the public so that folks will know that I did ask for this. 2/3 of the vote now. I think I'm saying this, and I hope that this is the last time I have to request to have this as an agenda item for our next board meeting.
Mr. Chairman, Senator, can I address that, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, and again, it was an honest mistake, not a problem. But I will share, we're going to be transparent with the public. The board receives a draft agenda on Wednesday before the meeting. The agenda can be changed. And if we do notice something, because, I mean, there's several things going on, if something was missed, it can be edited at that point because the final agenda is not issued till Friday. So, you know, if we do happen to overlook something or something you realize, wait a minute, I thought we talked about that being agenda item and didn't get missed, there is an opportunity for us to correct that. And so, you know, I just want to share that, you know, although we did miss it, and I'll take full ownership, I have nothing to hide as the superintendent. I have nothing to hide about my contract. Any member of the public can see my contract. I mean, so there's nothing about that, nothing about me. Any discussion you all have is open, and I receive any commendations, complaints, criticisms openly. So that had nothing to do with that. And I just want to state that for the record as well, that there's nothing, it was a simple mistake that it was not remembered. And we talked about it and thought we had captured everything. And again, if we see that we have in the future, I hope we don't, because we're going to make sure we double check and make sure we truly haven't missed anything. But if the board could assist us, when that draft agenda comes out, if you notice something potentially that we may have missed, please let us know. We can fix it then before it becomes official and not have to do it at the meeting. And so I'm not pushing off responsibility, but I just want us to, if we see that, because all of us are human, you know, and if any of us missed anything for that matter, I think, you know, as a courtesy for me or even for you all, if I notice something, you know, and I agree, there is a mutual respect for everyone, and we want to obviously do that. Anytime you have debate and things, that's back and forth. For me, you know, I'm an open vessel to whatever y'all want to, as the board directs to, you know, the things you all want to do, direct us to do. And again, I can just offer an apology. It was a sincere mistake, but just if you all happen to see that in advance, please let us know. If you have, and again, I know you all have documents, things come at you, it's easy, it's hard to miss that too, but, you know, I'm being open to you all that, there was no agenda, it was a simple.
All right, and thank you for that apology, and I'm aware of the 5-day turnaround, that if we do find something, that we are able to do that. However, I saw the actual agenda on Friday versus the one that went out on Wednesday, so I was behind on that. But I did, whenever I made the request, I actually put trust in the powers that be that it would be on the agenda, and after I repeated the actual policies and they were written down, I thought for sure that it would be on the agenda, but thank you for apologizing for that. My next concern is, I know that we had conversations with Ms. Weinstein before, and she said, hey, if you have any questions or anything, that we could reach out to you directly. Sometimes I think I don't want to say frustrated, but I'm disappointed in follow-up or the lack thereof in certain instances, because I really needed an answer for something that I emailed the attorney, or at least I included her in on. That was on September the 21st. I know that was close to the holidays and some of those other things. I did receive a response from her. I think the response was dated, in fact, I sent the email on Friday, November the 21st at 12:19 p.m. And I didn't expect a response then. I think the next week was going into Thanksgiving. I did receive a response, however, on November the 26th, so that was the following week, on Wednesday at 10:05, but it was nothing in regards to what I asked. It was more so about tonight's meeting and some of those other things.
Sorry. What was the date that you sent me an email?
I sent the email, in fact, it was to all the board members. That was dated Wednesday, November, excuse me, not Wednesday. That was dated Friday, November 21st at 12:19 p.m. My question was, Ms. Weinstein, please provide me with action steps for consideration if a single board member's actions negatively impact the board's performance collectively or individually. Thanks. That was the last portion of the email, and I did not receive a response on that.
The response that I sent, I'm not going to address because it's privileged, but we can chat after the meeting.
Yeah, I don't have a response at all from you.
I'm not going to address it further.
Okay, thank you. Next thing, just to go into, was the committee assignments, and we went over that this evening as to board members and that whole process and that actual policy and things in that sort. With that, I did notice, I went back to my emails, and I did notice that we were assigned committees last year. I think I received the email, earlier this year. It was sometime in February, if I'm not mistaken. That was February I don't have the date on, February 11th, 2025. Talked about policies, and I think it was policy 2230. And with that, it had me assigned to the curriculum committee. Going back through and hearing what you shared earlier, Dr. Atkinson, and reading through, it talks about the chairperson, and it also talks about the committee chairperson having committee chairs, and we did not have that last year to be in compliance with the policy, or at least it was not in the email that was sent out on February 11th. If folks were, I don't know if any board members, if you were a committee chair, if you could raise your hand so that way you could be, I may have missed it, but I've not seen anything. I had the list of folks, but we did not assign, or at least I didn't get a copy of the assignment of committee chairs in ordinance with policy 2230.
I hope we writing this stuff down. We ain't putting it out in open session for nothing. Can come back to the board meeting next month and say, I forgot it.
So I do, just sort of to answer Mr. Thomas's question, every board member does have the ability to say, hey, I noticed that our policy says that a chair needs to be appointed for this. I haven't seen that happen. That needs to happen. So if at any point a policy isn't followed because the board didn't go out of their way to waive it, but something happened without a step of the policy being taken, that wasn't also a legal requirement. The policy is waived by virtue of that policy not being followed, which is not ideal. But that's the effect of not following a policy provision. If a policy provision is also a legal requirement, then there may have to be different sorts of ratifications or ways to retroactively adjust to make sure that the legal requirement is met. I mean, the fact is that we should make sure that we're following every single policy every single time, but there's a lot of policies and sometimes something does get missed. So that's the effect of it.
Right, and I could see that, but what we're seeing is, what I've noticed is that that's happening
too much.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
happening often.
And I'm just saying
so
that this is the board's responsibility as well too, right? Like, there's a lot of policies, so hopefully one of us would catch it, especially in the policies that don't come up as much. Like, if you don't typically exercise your committee's policy, it's not gonna be as familiar to folks.
If we go back to email, I think my email would have been sometime in January. It was in regards to committees. And in the email, I said, this is the policy and where we with these committees, and that's how we received the actual committee assignment in February. So the policy was referenced during that time. Now, as
I
far
was
as
not
the
the
chair
attorney.
part of it.
Yeah, she
so-
wasn't the attorney at
wasn't
that
the attorney
point,
then,
so
yeah.
we
Well,
can't
so
hold her,
I'm not
we
saying-
can't
I'm
hold
not
her
regarding
accountable.
towards
Right,
you.
and
That's
so
not towards
what I
you.
would do is, I agree. I mean, if you're pointing out the policy and then you receive a list and it doesn't have the chairs on it and you know it was supposed to be in there, I think with every person having a role, like absolutely pointing that out.
Okay, so what I won't do is I understand that. But
Yeah.
I don't want to say that I assume this responsibility, like it's your responsibility to be sure I did reference the policy in the email, and I can probably go back and pull it up because I remember that. And that was the only time, Dr. Atkinson, you kind of pulled some research or you pulled some information together from other districts that were moving a different direction and some of those things. So it was around that same time. So that would have been January, February sometime. Financial, there was another thing, and it is, to me, the lack, I think, of follow-up, and that's what I'm used to. When we have conversations, and in fact, you all probably see me writing notes in meetings, and that is not to say, aha, I got you. It is to keep me on track. And whenever I write things down, it helps me to go back and to remember what I need to follow up on. And I see that a lot of times that things that we discuss are not followed up on, and especially in a timely manner, because I had a conversation, I think verbally with the individual, and then after that, I followed up with the email with the importance of a particular thing. And then in the last meeting, I said, hey, listen, when we have finances that are changing hands, then it would be a better, that would be an opportunity for us to go in, and to have an audit of finances especially. And I think I mentioned with consideration to Ms. Cheryl Whitesmith's presentation about possibly being over, and then I think we went into talking about the amount of funds that she was able to secure, or at least the team members were able to secure. So just those things, it wasn't, hey, listen, I think whenever we mentioned it before, it was, we're looking into this, I definitely understand the importance of that, and that's what but there was no follow-up, say, hey, listen, this has been doing, or anything
Mr.
of
Thompson, I
that
can
sort.
address that. The follow-up's in my report tonight. When we get to that point, I'll share about the
Okay,
financial audit.
thank you. So it's just, when we talk about follow-up, a lot of times things can be resolved just with an email or a text message, say, hey, listen, this is taken care of. Because with us only meeting every 30 days or once a month, with the exception of July, sometimes we miss things and things are on the back burner. And in fact, just to be transparent, many of us board members, we come in and we make decisions, and there's no communication outside of the boardroom or outside of this room. We don't know each other, and if someone doesn't say anything in the meeting, you wouldn't even know that they were here. I have an issue with the fact of folks that are on the board who have been elected that arrive late and leave early. I think that is disrespectful to all of us as board members, as professionals, because we all make sacrifices to be here. My daughter's school had a Christmas play this evening at 5:30, at 6 o'clock. But I said, you know what? I've been sworn in, I've taken an oath. I'm sorry. My baby was very disappointed that I couldn't make it. I asked my wife to record it. But it's very disrespectful to me. I can't speak for anyone else. Whenever an individual or a group of individuals either not attend or they come early, come late, and then they depart early. I think that's offensive and it's disrespectful to me. That's my perception of it. I think that we need to look into a policy that requires a set number of attendances throughout the year or throughout the election process, because you're elected and you're representing people. You can't represent them if you're not present. Next thing, what is there? Meeting, we talked about the meeting. Oh, you probably have this in your report as well, meeting with the county commissioners. You have that? I can skip that, right? Because I talked about that a couple times. Next thing is share information. Oh, yeah. The information that you shared about East Arcadia, I did go through that. whenever the email was sent out. So I went through that on Friday, over the weekend, kind of went through things. And you shared other information today. Is there any way, and I'm just trying to get ahead of what may happen, not saying that something could happen, is there any way that we're able to go and share that presentation with the public so that folks, because I guess at the community forum, we're not going to share anything. We're there to listen to individuals. So is there any way that we could actually share that information so that folks could see the cost-saving measures and some of the things, or where the building is as far as needing $1.9 million in repairs within the next 3 years? Some of those things I think would go over with. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, one thing you may have missed, and I mentioned this in the report with that I would suggest that we would add those things as attachments, even to
Okay, gotcha.
to the announcements, and put them on the website so folks could totally see everything before they come.
I
So,
did miss that.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah.
I apologize for that.
Just a question on that, just for,
Right.
for those that are in the community that don't have access to the website or don't know how, not related, I know it's not our responsibility to teach them, I understand that. But just to make sure that we got full transparency in the communities, so that we're making sure we're doing everything we need to do to make sure we get them the information. Is there another way that we can make sure that we do this? So if they come to the meeting, we sharing it at the meeting, right? Okay, so it's on the screen at the meeting, we give it to them then. So the only way those that don't have, Wi-Fi or don't know how to access it online, they're past that comfortable age in life. It's the way I like to put it, because we're all blessed to be here. But at the end of the day, we just need to make sure that we cross that bridge with them too. So we're putting it on, if they don't make the meeting, that's their only opportunity to get the information. Is that what
Well,
we're stating?
it'll be available online prior, and we'll also have some printed copies at both of those schools as well, so those can be picked
Good.
up.
Printed
So
copies.
We'll do
Thank
printed
you.
copies of the study, because, and again, when the agenda went live, people could click our link now and see everything before we even had the meeting. But we'll put it on the website, prominent place, social media, attach it to once we poll everyone and find out days, that'll be attached to the announcement, so that'll be there too. And then we'll have some printed copies at both of those schools too.
Great, outstanding, and ask them to please share.
Right.
Yeah, please share.
And one thing, we'll encourage too is, and even like with social media, please share. So there might be some folks that, some of the churches may decide to have copies and print those as well. So, something else that could be done. So it'll be shared widespread. They'll have exactly everything you all had tonight.
We'll be putting it on the website as well.
Yes, sir.
It's already,
Yeah,
it's already
and
there.
it'll be actually, we'll put it out there as a separate item, then whenever we do we'll have Ms. Johnson put that out tomorrow that the board met. This is the study that was shared. And then whenever we go out, once you all are polled and we determine the hearing dates, when that announcement goes out, that's got to be 14 days prior. That'll also be reattached again for that, so. And could I ask a clarifying question, Mr. Thomas? Just so I make sure I got it right, will you give me that policy that you want me to make sure that we got on there? So I'll make sure I've got the right one down. I've got two written, but I want to make sure it's the correct
Well, in
number
fact,
two.
if you have, hold on one second, let's go in.
As you said, it's 7420.
Is that the one? I was thinking, so that's my second one. I want to make sure I was right. Okay.
Now you got it. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
How'd you remember that? And I didn't. Have to go back to my notes.
Well, I just wanted to be sure, because we had a couple different numbers. I want to make sure I had the right one.
Yeah,
on
it was
there.
7805 and then 4720. 7805 is the one I apologize for, but 48. And so much so, just as a reminder, whenever I apologized about the previous policy and what I understood or misunderstood in what we voted on, I also said at that time, once we discuss the next policy, I'll be happy to entertain any apologies. So if you remember that statement, then everyone should remember the policy, or at least that I did make reference to the policy, asking for it to be added. And Dr. Atkinson, I don't ever want you to think that it's, or anybody, the district officers, to think it's the board against them or anything of that sort. I don't find any gratification of chaos or anything, to that nature. But whenever things are done in a manner that I don't agree with, or that it may be perceived a different way, then I have to be vocal, not just for me, but for the people that I represent as well. There are some things, whenever we say we forget things, and I forget things, that's why I have a notepad. I forget things all the time. Excuse me. I have selective memory loss because there are other things that I can remember exceptionally will. I'll probably take them to my grave. If I get Alzheimer's, I'll still remember that type of stuff. I forget everything else. Might forget my kids, but I'll remember that. And so I don't find any gratification in chaos. And I will say it is not, whenever I make comments, they're not geared towards you specifically. And I said this last time, it is the office. It wouldn't matter if Dr. Taylor was the superintendent, if Mr. Singletary was the superintendent, if Mr. Davis was the superintendent. I don't know if Barack Obama was the well, maybe a little bit different then. Whoever the superintendent is, then I would definitely point out things that I have concerns about, and I don't want to be disrespectful in doing so, but I can't be apologetic in doing so, because if I'm just making fuss, that's one thing, but I'm trying to back everything with mention of a policy and previous conversations that we had in regards to it. So those are, and I don't want anybody to feel bad, so hopefully, again, district staff, you all have done, from what I can see, a good job. We just have to ask those probing questions in order for us to make decisions. Tell you what, uninformed decision is very dangerous. When you make decisions based on emotions and likability of people, we have to go on facts, we have to go on what's presented, and then we move from there. So questions is a part of the game, and it's necessary in order for us to get clarity. We don't have much communication with the district staff at all, other than seeing them during this time, hey, how you doing? And we keep going. And so whenever they do presentations, we have to ask questions. But again, it is not in a form of disrespect to anyone, and it hopefully doesn't diminish their credibility in the work that they're doing. But we do have to have information. And the last thing I will say is that our most vulnerable population, or our biggest stakeholders, are our students, and those are the folks that we probably talk about the least in these board meetings. In fact, we don't say much about the kids after they're recognized. We clap our hands and send them out their way, and then let's get down to fussing. But that's not always a good thing. We need to figure out a way of how we can focus on students. And I could go and dig and try to get some other things based on school grades and moving kids from East Arcadia, wherever they're performing, and then to Clarkton, wherever they're performing. But I don't want to go that route. If I was a parent, I would definitely want to send my my student to, anyway, that's just my personal thing. But thank you all for lending a listening ear to some of the concerns that I had. But overall, I think that our county, that we can move in the right direction, and that we could be the best school district in North Carolina and probably even the nation. But we have to make changes, and it's not offensive. It's not to say you're not doing a good job or you failed at this. It's to say, you know what, I messed up, and we can do this differently. And you can't be afraid to try new things. I'll send out ideas, and I want this last thing, I promise I said last time, but whenever I sent that email, I sent those emails with all of those ideas. I went to a conference, and you all were there, and I left inspired. I left as if I was Superman, like, you know what, I can really make a difference. So that email wasn't to say, you all are failing, this is what you better do. It was, I feel inspired, y'all. Let's do all this creative and innovative things and then make us stand out. Because I don't like to see our school district on the news saying that we have failing schools, that 75% of our schools are underperforming or some of those other things. I want Bladen County Schools to be, you know what, we may be failing, but let me tell you the other side of the story. These are the great things that we're doing in Bladen County that no other school is doing. We want to be sure that we're not losing students to Emory or Paul R. Brown, no, Miss Meany's not here, excuse me, Paul R. Brown Academy or anywhere else, homeschool. We want our school district to be number one. And that was the reason for those ideas. It wasn't a jab or a dig at anybody. I left inspired, and I felt like I could conquer the world. And I wanted to spread that enthusiasm to everyone else, and it was crickets for the most part. Once I did, I didn't get any responses. Nobody said anything, so that kind of. But anyway, I'm still encouraged. I'll continue to do that, and it's not the first time I've done that. I'll continue to do it. But thank you.
Anybody else? Board comment? Not, we'll move on to the board chair's report. Just a couple of things as far as the absences and lates and different things like that. It would be nice to be aware if you're not coming to a meeting or not showing up at all or be late, those types of things. So I do get notified by some, but not by all. Just to make sure we're fully transparent here. Also, just want to make sure that we're engaging in our communities, in our schools, visiting when we can. Make sure we're going in with a listening ear and not an investigative ear when we're going into these schools. Be proactive. We're not there to find out problems. We're there to listen, learn, engage, and then anything that we feel like we need to communicate through the district staff, make sure we're doing that in the appropriate way. I think there's a lot of good comment out there. There's a lot of positive social media. You see all that stuff. There's a ton of positive in our schools out there. We don't say enough about it. As Mr. Thomas said, we tend to let the kids go. We don't say a whole lot about our teachers. How thankful we are. The long days and hours they have. Some kids, that's the only attention they get. It's from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The long hours our coaches put in days and nights preparing for these teams and traveling on the road. It's awesome in everything they do. So I just want to thank everybody. I was too in Greensboro a couple of weeks ago. Got a lot of great information out of there. One thing I'll put out there and is about charter school. And I hadn't seen the new number for this year, but last year the state put $432 million in the charter schools. Okay, so let that sink in. And that's not, we haven't even got the 26 number yet. So charter schools. Okay, so there's a ton of money going there that we need in these public schools, and I feel like we've fallen in the second row with that. So it's a lot more to come on that. I'm actually doing a lot of reviewing. I was in a presentation or two of what we can do or how it's even gotten to that matter, but there'll be more to come on that, more board chair comments. But I hear a lot of things out there, and I hear a lot of things in these meetings that can be taken care of prior to meetings, prior to us coming here, spending a lot of time on it that can be handled with phone calls, especially when it comes to agendas and different things. So I want to stress that there's a grace. We're all human beings. We're going to miss things, but at the end of the day, if we just talk to the right people, a lot of times we can get a better result from that standpoint. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy New Year to everyone. We got, I think the 19th is our last day in class. Safe travels. It's very cold out there this evening. A lot's going on. If you see a chance to help a family, take a time to help a family. Okay. Thank you, guys. Appreciate everything you do.
You know, I didn't say it, but congratulations, Chairman, and congratulations to Vice Chair. We didn't say that earlier.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Dr. Axe.
Thank you, Chairman Singletary and board members. Just a few things. It's hard to believe it seems like mid-year got here so quick. Our high schools will be engaged in the state exams December 15th through 19th. That's that last week. All of our schools will be on early release that week as well. And then on that Friday, all schools and departments will close at 1:30 and remain closed through Thursday, January 1st. January 2nd is a required teacher work day. That's the prep day before we start the next semester, and we'll kick off with students on Monday, January the 5th. Speaking about the county commissioner joint meeting and conversation, I think I alluded to this a little bit earlier with, there's actually a new chair and vice chair with the county commissioners. And speaking with the county manager, he felt it was best, and I understand this, to start that process, obviously, with their new chair, and as well as in our situation, we did that tonight. And so, obviously, my first point of contact tomorrow is say, okay, ours has been finalized and where we are for this year. Let's go ahead and get the plans for this joint meeting set up, because the chairs are going to have to kind of work through that on both boards to engage us on that. Basically, the county manager serves like I do, pleasure of the board, and we do some of the logistical things. But, you know, I think that, you know, we kind of like we were going to poll for the hearing. We can kind of do the same kind of thing for us on a joint meeting. I do feel that obviously we know the financial part of that is a big conversation, but I also think that we need to involve more things that kind of lead up to that conversation. So kind of the state of the district and where we are, where we've seen gaps, what's worked well, what has been challenged. So we're not just going in and say, hey, by the way, we need $1.5 million, that we're going through and talking through that. And so we know that's going to be important. And so we're hoping that after this week, we can have some dates they're going to share with us and get that. So January sounds like it's going to shape up to be relatively busy with the two hearings as well as the joint meeting. And so I would hope that maybe, if anyone has anything specific that they feel that we want to make sure that we, because that's going to be a shared agenda. So things that are on our mind, even beyond budget, that we want to get on there that we feel are important, please share those with us, and we can relay that, because, I'm sure the county commissioners may have some things they want to bring to the table. I know, just like the SROs, that might be a point of discussion even with the county commissioners, because they did provide funding for part of that. So we want to make sure we make good use of that. I don't think it's going to be a one and done meeting either. I think it's, we start there, we have follow-up a month or so down the road, and it might be where we decide, hey, we might need to engage in a minimum quarterly meetings together, because they usually meet on the first, third week, we're on the second. Either one of us could shift one of ours 1 month and have a joint and make that part, or start with that and then move into a regular meeting. So there's a lot of options we can go through and do that. As long as we give a minimum 7-day notice, we can change the regular meeting date if we had to for some reason. And so we got some flexibility. So I'm hoping now we definitely will gain a lot of traction now that that's been decided. And the county commissioners totally went with a brand new chair and vice chair. And so it's new leadership as a whole on the county commissioners. And so talk about financial audit. I have engaged with our audit firm and looking at the agreement, and obviously talking about transition. Also consulted with our board council and the legislative parts that are in the public school accounting requirements versus, obviously in transition, the two big things that kind of stick up, you want to look for internal controls, if there's been any fraud, misalignment of dollars. So our current audit firm is actually scheduled to come back end of January, early February, because there's an interim review that has to be done anyway. And so in engaging in conversation, my question was, well, we need to be a little bit, we're going to want to be detailed enough to know that, because we're transitioning now, we have an interim coming into down the road, hopefully be employing a new finance officer. And just like you said last meeting, it's important that there's clarity on someone's exit, someone's beginning, where the board's work is. One of the things that the auditor had also shared is that obviously they're going to do that, increase the sample, look specifically, and provide a special report to the board once that's done. A lot of these audit firms are several weeks out and have been, some of them scheduled way out. And so I've already engaged that. It won't be a minimal in additional cost beyond a contract, if any, for that. They're willing to do that. So we need to have that for the board's clarity and to have that report to talk about those things that we would be concerned about anytime you have transition. The transfer of money, was that following guidelines? Did you pick up on any instances of fraud? Were internal controls in place? Were the right people approving the right things at the right time and the right progressions? All those things that, you do an overview and a general, but we want them to dig a little deeper specifically, and this is what I think the request was, to clear and make sure that when we move forward, and currently now obviously serving the interim role, but when it gets to that point that a person walking in knows, the board knows obviously, were there issues, what are there, we want those corrected before someone comes in here. If something, didn't get picked up, because, typically in a general audit, that you're not looking specifically at something, you're doing a sample, and you may not pick the one thing that, or, so, get more specific with those funding sources on the local, state, and federal level. And so we have gone through that, been in conversation with them. We're going to have a follow-up conversation this week. I want them to give me the specific dates that they would be here. And if anybody has any additional expectations beyond those critical things I know we're looking for, they want to ask them to do additionally, we can do that, and they're willing to do that. And so looking at going totally outside of that, because we do have that, these are school-specific auditors that are, working with these particular funds. One thing I think is important too is that, we want it to really suffice and cover every area to make sure that in that transition, the board is aware, administration is aware. So a new person coming in is not blindsided. They know what they're going to walk into. If there were issues, we correct them. If there weren't issues, that's good. Now, one thing that they mentioned, and we've already done this, and this was part of our, I shared with you all the letter that I sent up to DPI doing the request for the interim finance officer, that we would employ a third-party consultant. That's actually required when you have an interim, and even a new finance officer that will begin has to have that mentoring service. So we have done that, and that's just an hourly rate that the group is doing for us. And we had actually actually had a meeting with them last week to start that. They've already had one session with our interim finance officer. But part of that, too, is they're also going to be doing a review from a finance officer's perspective. Is there things that we can do that maybe we haven't thought of or could do more of in terms of, because there's an art to school finance, and because, there's a lot of requirements, but there comes a point, there's an art where you can shift positions legally and can do across things. Because one example is if you have a higher paid position, there's a state line that a position can go to, and maybe that person has been paid out of local. The smart thing to do is to transfer that person in the state, let the state pick up that salary and free up local dollars. And so we're going to have not only the audit be done, we're going to have this support from Ms. Bethea, for the finance team, for administration. He's even willing to come and talk with the board. This is a reputable group that does this. It does several school districts. They have even some current serving finance officers that take leave and work with them, folks that have had experience working with our financial software. So and so we've got that support also there. They're also willing to come if there's some things that they see we can do even better to advise us. And so we've got that support. So it's we've gotten two things now. So not just having the audit, but we're going to have that ongoing support. Members of finance that come across something that, maybe question, or we do as administration, we've got experienced folks that can help guide us through that. And so I'm excited because we've already talked about some things. One thing that was enlightening to me that was shared, and he's going to actually work on this for us, because I told him we want to get this county commissioners meeting off the ground. There is, in that statute, there's some language about minimum, or what minimum funding should look like. And so with that, he's going to take our numbers to see, obviously, if it's going to benefit us, that we take that as part of our advocacy piece. Look, we appreciate what we've gotten, but in statute, and it might be where we're at it, but we just want to confirm that. And so some things that Ms. Brown and I met with him extensively before we even went back and we introduced him with finance and worked through. Even with that, we learned a lot just in our hour and a half with him, that, it wasn't that necessarily anything was being done wrong, but things I'm like, no, we've never thought about that. And so you're talking about someone with 20-plus years of experience in that's helping us. And so it's an hourly rate, and so we just like anything else we'd have, as much as we use it or the lack thereof. But the auditor even said that was a smart move that we had that, because that's a practitioner that's helping to support us in this work. So we're basically getting two types of services as we navigate this transition. So I definitely want to, and that was something I felt like I needed to explain more so and put in an email. I want to kind of not really share that where we are, because that can get convoluted too. But I'm excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. And I think that there's some potential for us to maybe identify some savings and advise us as we go through. Again, I'm not saying anybody's done anything wrong, but sometimes it's just like, I'll use the example, I'm a music person. If I stand before my choir in 15 rehearsals, I'm going to become immune to some wrong notes potentially, just because you hear it, and by the time so a fresh set of another director comes in, let me work your choir for you. They're going to hear, oh, wait a minute, you missed a note in this section. And I'm like, well, I hadn't even heard, I guess. So it's always good to have that. So I think that's going to be a blessing for the district to help us as we work through that. Strategic plan, we're at the point, as you know, we have our mission, vision, core values, and things that are up. Our strategic plan was done toward the, I think, mid to end of my first full year of the superintendency. But we know that Superintendent Green and his team has worked through a new strategic plan at the state level. And we know that even in ours, and, because things have changed. I mean, education is always evolving. And so part of that is that we feel, I believe, and our admin team believes the same thing, and even principals, that it's time to really revisit and probably need to not just say we're going to do a revision, it needs to do an overhaul so that our goals are truly reflective of what you all as a board have as a vision for the system, what the stakeholders have as a vision for the system. That includes parents, community members, businesses, churches, partnerships, everybody, students. And one thing that I've learned, even in one thing I picked up on with us here, and I had to look into this, you have some boards of education, of course they don't vote or anything, that actually have a student representative that sits with the board at the board meetings that we can, and I like that because I found great value in the student advisory teams that we have. I meet with those students, and even to the point of our middle school and high school, our next meeting, I want to actually ask principals, I want those students the entire day, because I want to engage them in the strategic planning, because this is for them. And so to really spend time with them to say, you know, how can we design a system and goals and things that are going to meet you where you are and take you to the next level? And so last time, you know, we had involvement and input, but one thing I've learned even in that is, like you said, this is all about them, and we've always tried to make decisions that way. And I'm like, well, that's a key group in strategic planning that didn't really necessarily have a voice and doesn't in a lot of systems. I mean, and they just kind of, we say we got to have a plan, we do it, put it on the shelf and go. But a plan's supposed to be living, breathing, and it's got to be meaningful. If the goals don't align to where we are and speak to where we want to go, it's meaningless. And so what we want to do, and you all be heavily involved in this, is next month I want to just spend some time about a proposed process, and I'm talking at a minimum probably a 4 to 6 month engagement process to get that going. Maybe, you know, it might be advantageous, but ideally to be able to start a new plan effective July 1 of 2026. But, you know, to engage in that work, what we had previously was, you know, board members basically kind of had an open opportunity to serve on what we call dimension teams. And so the last plan has 5 dimensions. We know that the state's plan is very large. We wouldn't, you know, for a system, we wouldn't want to go that large. But it needs to be it's got to be a plan that speaks to Bladen County, our needs, our desires, our vision. And so even in that, when we look back at our vision and mission statements, we know now they need to be rewritten to really speak to where we truly are. And so part of that is to engage stakeholders. That may be through survey, that might be through advisory groups, and that kind of engagement. So I want to talk through that next month, what I believe would be a good process, and get feedback from you all, kinds of information item, and then we really kick it off and really engage in this. I believe we're at that point. We'll need to ensure that we have alignment, obviously, because it wouldn't make sense to have something that didn't align as well as what the state would be doing. Doesn't mean it's got to be a replica of the state, but it needs to be a Bladen County plan, not a North Carolina plan, but that we reference how it connects to that. And so we'll work through that. I do want to say thank you to Baldwin Branch Church. We did have a lot of baskets that were delivered to our students and families, and so we appreciate their willingness to give, and they visit all of our schools, and so we thank that ministry for doing that, and actually provided some needs for families that truly needed it during the Thanksgiving season, so we want to thank that. We'll also send a letter of thanks on behalf of the board and the admin to the church, thanking them for that, so we'll do that. What's that? I'm sorry, Ms. Davis? Yeah, please do, yes, and we want to make sure we do that. And Mr. Davis was joining them on that too, so we thank him for that and your work in that. And so we'll get that, and we'll just touch base, make sure we have the right contact, Mr. Davis, on who to send that thank you to. The board has been invited on Thursday, if you can. It's kind of a drop-in. It's kind of different because it is an exam for this class, but it's our first ever culinary class that they're having their final presentation. This is the partnership with BCC, the culinary program, and that's at West Bladen. So the instructor just said open invitation if you want to drop in, hang out a bit at that time. They'll be going for a couple of hours. But it starts at noon on Thursday. We do have our principals meeting, so I'm going to see if I can shift a few minutes back so I can at least be there at the start to kind of greet them and see how things are. But I wanted to extend an invitation, the instructor and Mr. Orrock said, please share with the board if your schedule allows. If it's just a few minutes, if you want to be able to maybe pop by there at West Bladen on the 11th. And I can send you all an email in the morning to remind you in the specifics on that. We are closely monitoring weather conditions as of right now, and y'all know I don't typically, have the phone out doing a whole lot, but I've been, superintendents have been kind of discussing. Most of our folks around us are still on a regular schedule. We feel we're confident now with our forecast will be okay. If something was to change, we will get that out, but we are going to closely monitor it through the evening, and we'll have transportation also checking some roads early in the morning just to make sure if we do have to make a call or delay or something, we'll do that early on. But we are right now, as it looks, based on current where we will be on a regular schedule tomorrow at this point. Make sure I hadn't missed anything specific. And so with that, that'll be all. Do want to echo the chair's remarks. We do wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a very happy and prosperous New Year. And we do pray God's blessings upon everyone and their families. And I think as it was shared earlier, that we may be a blessing to others during this time and this season of giving. So we thank you. The gifts that you have on behalf of the district administration is just a small token of our appreciation for you all. So please make sure you grab your baskets before you all leave this evening. So that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Atkinson. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor by signify by saying aye. Opposed, no.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, everybody.